It's not my problem. It's not my problem.
All right, welcome to the Prospect Podcast. We're excited. We got a great episode for you today. Coach Human, as always, I have Coach D with me to my left. And above, we have the ops coordinator of Porter Gaud High School out in Charleston, South Carolina, if I'm not mistaken, because I think I ran an event over at Porter Gaud one year. So at Coach Hatfield. So we're excited to talk to him, talk some football with him. This is a guy who's got his hands in a lot of different things. When I looked up his Twitter, you were also involved with the Rootski stuff, right, as well?
Oh, yeah.
Yep, I have a Rootski account and access to all of the huddle clips and everything. Actually, it reminds me, got to go look at some things on there because there's so much stuff on there. It's great. There's so much stuff, but like you can spend the whole day there. You know what I mean? It's like just all messed up, you know what I mean? Like dive down rabbit holes, looking at things that you don't even run, like, you know, so, but it's awesome. It's awesome. So it's really great to have you on, talk some football, and then we'll talk a little history as well. So we'll dive into some of that stuff in a little bit, which I might be more excited about that than even the football stuff. So that's just me. But yeah, so talk about your journey as a coach, and how you got involved. You can talk about your playing background and all that kind of stuff, and then kind of your rise into where you are now.
Yeah, of course. So I kind of started out, really the journey started. I knew from a young age, middle school, that I want to coach ball. And I always knew that, I was a decent player, but I was never the best player. So I could have, possibly went on and played some small, level college, but that just wasn't, what was in the cards for me. Wasn't what I was looking for. So I was able to kind of go and be a student assistant at Marshall University. So that's what I was telling them. I kind of, I played at Cabell Midland High School under Coach Luke Salmons. Really, really good experience doing that. And he taught me a lot about, what it meant to be a coach. And I remember him sitting me down early in my career when he knew, like, I was a freshman or sophomore, and he knew I wanted to be a coach. And he told me, he's like, the most important thing about being a coach is relationships. That's kind of what he told me. And that's true on two levels. One, the relationship between player and coach is huge, but the relationship between coach to another coach is huge, and, networking and all that stuff. So he really helped me at a high level understand, relationships is the core of our business. But I went in and before I even graduated high school, I was taking summer classes at Marshall just to be able to jump in and legally, start as a student assistant over there. And I started on the defensive side of the ball under Coach Lance Guidry. Great guy. He taught me a lot about life in general, but he went on to be the DC at Miami, and on staff at LSU, and now he's the DC at Memphis. And being able to have that and learn from him and that staff, all those staff are at, Power 4 schools right now. So being able to have that in my back pocket is such a valuable experience. People don't understand, able to answer questions or, give me a reference and stuff like that. And then I was able to flip over to the offensive side of the ball and work with quarterbacks with Coach Seth Dagey, who's now the OC at Arizona. And, just learning from him and learning, because he was a Leach guy, he was under Leach at Tech. So learning all that stuff from, such a legend. He held NCAA records. So being able to learn from him and, something way out of my, I've always been like an option-based guy, and then, learning, going straight to the air raid is so huge to be able to, and that's made me who I am today. Like, we'll talk ball later, but like, I like the, my system is mesh and option and the air raid. And it's such a unique thing that I'm able to do just because of who influenced me and who helped me out. But I was, with him there, and I was able to kind of take a coordinator job over in Corbin, Kentucky. So Corbin High School, and I relate that to, like, small town Georgia ball or small town Texas ball. Like, Friday nights, everybody shows up. It's a small town. They're known. They have a tradition of winning. They're notorious for it. So, being able to go there kind of dipped my foot in the high school door there. It was a really awesome experience with people that, love ball and was supportive and wanted to help you out in any way they could. And then, I met my wife, and we were able to, after some time over there, we were able to kind of make our way down to South Carolina. And I was last year the special teams coordinator and running backs coach at Lucy Beckham High School. So it's a 5A high school down here in Mount Pleasant. Great type of kid, man. A super high academic public school, just a really, really great brand of kid.
Great area. Yeah.
Beautiful. And lastly, I was kind of, Coach Neighbors, head coach over here at Porter Gaud, was able to kind of reach out to me. And we talked ball, and we figured that this would be a good fit. And, I've hit the ground running here. The kids this is an amazing brand of kid at Porter Gaud. These super high prestigious academic school. So, it's always yes sir, no sir without you. They have a culture of winning. Like they win at every sport. So it's, being able to, dive right into a culture like that, and you don't have to flip the culture, right? There's some things that were broken and that we're going to fix, obviously, but we don't have to, we're not changing things. We're just, we're improving things. And that's such an important, decision maker for me when I decided to take this job. But that's a little bit about my experience. So
very cool. And you talked about a little bit on the pre-cast with Coach D about decision to kind of get in coaching, that you knew that was something that you wanted to do. Talk about what went into that, like what made you say, hey, this is you talked a little bit about it, but what made you say this is what I want to dive into, like full head steam? Because we were talking about, like, we've seen this as a big trend, right? Like, because coaching has become a career much more than ever over the last 10, 15 years. So talk about that a little bit.
Well, I could give you the generic answer, while albeit true of, my coach had such a big impact on me. So I wanted to do, and that's true. But at the same time, I'm also not going to, BS it. Like I fell in love with the X's and O's side of it too. You know what I'm saying? Like, and I've always been a guy that, like, it makes me it's like a euphoria when, there's a problem and you're able to solve that problem in any way, and just in any aspect of life. And that's what, being an offense coordinator is to me. Like, that defense, they present the problem to you, right? And it's your job to solve that problem. So being able to do that at a high level, there's nothing more, satisfying for me, or nothing more establishment. And then, I will dive in, like, the relationships you build in coaching. One is you're able to, to surround yourself every day, and, being part of a good staff is so important, but surround yourself every day with just, the boys, essentially. Like, you don't have to go to the bar to hang out, or do a restaurant, or join a club or something like that. Like, you're just hanging out with your boys and you're solving problems together. And that was such a big thing for me, man. I love the camaraderie. I love, sitting in the staff room and just, talking it up, man. But I also love, when you get a kid and, he might either be just suck at football, or he might be unathletic or something like that, or he might be, like behaviorally challenged, or, mentally challenged, something like anything like that. And be able to see from when you get your hands on them to the end, and just see the transition of, basically from boyhood to manhood at this stage. That's what, entices so much more from college ball to high school ball. Like, when you get your boys at college ball, they're men already. Like, they're dogs. But when you get a little 13, 14-year-old pup, and it's your job to shape him in a way as the man as he is. Because in football season, you're probably spending more time with these kids than their families are. Right. And so the impact, you have with these kids, so being able to create a lasting impact on these kids is something that, I don't think you can really do in any other profession.
No doubt about it. That's what makes it unique. I think the ability to be around the players, to be able to help them get better, seeing that progress, all those things are I think are huge in the fun part about coaching. Talk a little bit about, as we dive into it, like, you mentioned that you kind of have a unique offense that you run, and a style of play that you guys have. Talk a little bit about that.
Yeah. So for me, some of the most important things, especially like for me, and I learned this from Seth Daggy, is like, when you spread the ball out, like, you have a tendency to be like, oh, they're athletic and stuff like that. But, we're going to start with violence. Like, violence is the option. Like we will be violent. Like that's going to be our thing. And, that might be kind of, it's 2026. Like guys, the public guy, like the public doesn't want to hear that. It's not a fun, like, but we will be violent. And we will be and we will be bullies because that's what football is. So, at a high level, violence, everything starts with violence. But we're going to actually do the best way I could compare it is like fair state. Like the way they combine option with air raid principles and air raid formations is kind of how we're going to live. So we're going to have 5 core runs. And our 5 core runs are going to be 1 back veer. And that's just extended triple options. So there's a few ways we can get to it. But the most common way is we're going to have a now screen on the front side and a bubble screen on the back side. And that bubble screen most of the time is going to be our access for any kind of blitzes and stuff like that. And then the now screen is going to be our pitch read. We're reading the end, we're reading the overhang. So that really spreads things out. And, I love option football. Like option football is, giving, there's a problem and you're creating a solution to the problem, like I talked about earlier. And so what this able to give us is this gives us better angles. This lets us be more multiple formations wise than if we went, to the flex bone or something like that. So this just, creates so many more opportunities for us. But 1 back veer is, our first run. The second run that we're going to live in is power. Okay, so we're going to run power, and power is always going to be an RPO. So we're always going to have some RPO combo to power, and then we'll tag it to run, power read, inverted veer, however you want to call it. We'll do something like that. And then we're going to run ISO. So if you're going to talk about being downhill, you have to be about it. So, we're going to run ISO. We're going to run it out of 2 back. We're going to run it out of wing. We're going to run it, quarterback ISO just out of, 10 personnel. So we're going to live in that downhill world, but we're going to spread you out and make you make a decision. And then we're going to run, outside zone. And the way I teach, I'm not, and I love, and it's just, for me, it doesn't fit my offense to do any of this like wide zone stuff. Like when I say outside zone, we're reaching and running, we're dipping our outside shoulder around and we're getting vertical. And, like I said, I played in the flex zone. So, our outside zone it's going to look a whole lot like rocket toss. So we're going to reach and run and get our shoulders across. And then our last run is going to be counter, and we're going to base in the GT. And there's a few ways to get, tag it to be GY or even GF. But we're going to read it like option. So we're going to have the same option combos on the outside, and we're reading that end. And if he crashes, we're going to make a play. And if he doesn't, then we're going to hand it and let our running backs work. And that's just our 5 core run games. And we're going to have tags and stuff like that. And then, everything like that. And then we'll live in the quick game world. So we'll run snag. I mean, snag's probably my favorite. We'll run stick, stuff like that. And then we'll live in the drop back world. We'll run a lot of mesh. And the way I run mesh is it's mirrored. So, whether it's trips or 2x2, you're going to have a wheel by the slot in the running back. So what a lot of people call mesh rail essentially. And then, you got both your meshes and you have a ball sit. You're going to read it wheel to mesh to ball sit, whichever side you decide to work. And so we're going to run that. We're going to run shallow. We're going to run goes and comebacks. We're going to run all of your air raid stuff that I got from, Coach Daggy and Coach Leach and all of them. So we're going to be super multiple, and we're going to anything that you do to stop us, we're going to manipulate it. So if you stack the box, we're going to find throws. If you spread out, we're going to, gash you. So at the end of the day, being an OC is all about finding the solution to the problems the defensive presents. And I take pride in that. And I coach my quarterback to do the same. And I coach my offensive line to do the same. Hey, if they want to stunt or, stuff like that, you make them pay for it. Or if they want to jump on passes, you make them pay for it. Whatever problem they give you, you find a solution to do it. And that's such a big deal to me, man. So
that's really cool. So talk a little bit about what you reprogress. So in order to make do you decide, are you no huddle first of all, or are you huddle?
So that's something I love about what we do is the system we run is you can do everything. So what I love is we can go slow as we want or as fast as we want, and our system doesn't change. So
okay, cool. So you do huddle sometimes then, right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, or like a sugar huddle or something like that.
Yep.
All right. So are you then is your goal to have like your quarterback make a decision off of your call and adjustments from that standpoint? Is that how you do it, or like what is your read? So the plays that you're going to tap into based on their alignment. What do you do from that standpoint?
Yeah, of course. So the first drive we're probably going to be scripted. And then that script, and when I do that script, I have in mind of we're going to give them a lot of formations and we're going to give them, a variety of plays. And, everyone wants to score on their first drive. For me, I'd love to score on my first drive. That's right.
Yes.
But all I'm trying to do is see you. I'm trying to see what you're going to do. I'm trying to see
Tell me what you're going to
do
do for the rest of the game.
That's right. So, that's how we're going to manipulate that. As far as, the pass game, we're true progression. So, I think it's inefficient, just, to be frank at this level, to try to tell a quarterback, if they're in this coverage, do this, or if they're in this coverage, do that. I find that hard at this level. And I find that, if your quarterback thinks too much, then you're too slow.
I agree.
So once again, being, coming back to the problem solving aspect that's the same thing that progressions is for us. Well, if the corner is, playing, press, well, we'll solve that problem by, your alert, you're throwing your alert, you're throwing your go. Or, if they're, if they're running this, we go through a pure progression. And most of our stuff is full field. And I've never had an issue with that. And if we need to manipulate it, we can manipulate it. We have a couple different protections and stuff like that. And then when it comes to tempo, it's the same thing of, like I said, so, we use Ruski. So we use, we're going to use the wrist coach system. It works at a high level. So we're going to have images on our wrist of what the play is. And we'll carry 60 plays in each game. And then we'll have one word plays and stuff like that. And, jet plays and to manipulate that. But
Derek, where have you heard that before?
Yeah, buddy. Sounds familiar.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
I think that we got to keep going, coach. Yeah. I'm sorry, I didn't mean to interject. I implemented that with my youth team. So I coached high school for 20 years, but when I started coaching my son's team, I implemented that system because I thought they could learn better that way and play faster. And then I had call plays too, because obviously the risk gives you so much, but I have call plays, but they were easy. They didn't have to remember as much, right? They had to know how to block. They had to know how to, execute what they're supposed to execute. And they only have to remember a small world. And they usually do that really well. So, I'm sorry. I didn't mean to interrupt. Go ahead.
No, I love it. You're giving me a sales pitch for Ruski. So I love it. But no, but yeah, and it allows us to control the tempo. So if we want to go fast, we're going to go fast. If we want to go slow, then we'll slow it down. It depends on, who we're playing and how you're attacking us from what way. But it also, it allows that kid that can't remember the plays, but he's super athletic. It allows you to play him. It allows you to play, the corner that, you only get so much time with during practice. It allows you to play him. So
it's big.
It's
really important.
That's right. And it
allows me to
especially
play
at this
my
level.
Wildcat quarterback, who's more like really just, and give him a set thing. Because my son's our regular quarterback. I have a kid that's a really good athlete that could do certain things, and allowed us to do it really, really effectively because he's a really good athlete. And then we had a number 2 group of kids in youth. You got to play certain kids at minimum. We're trying to figure out what we were going to do. Well, we taught those kids who were learning how to block and did some overload stuff. And we just had, so they only had to memorize. So they had the plays that are on their wrist, and then they only had to memorize their actual call play was a set, a play, alignment, everything in one. And there was 2 tags to go in a different direction or throw. That was it. And then we had everything on our wrist for our regular offense. And so those guys, for the most part, didn't have to learn that much. And then my son, as a quarterback, had tags that we could go and tag certain things, which were called stuff, but they didn't have to remember a lot. They didn't have to, they could remember now screen. They can remember, bubble. They can remember if they got a vertical, right? They can remember those things. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
No, I love it. And, that's what kids see. And I say kids these days, but it was the same thing for me of, we grew up playing Madden. Kids grow up playing Madden. So this allows them, and when they're playing Madden, they're looking at that image. They're not looking at, ace right, Z jet, Y motion, all that. They're not looking at that part of it. They're looking at, the image. So what this allows us and allows me to do is this completely eliminates install. So we're not spending time on the board. We're not doing all this. We're going right out there. And instead of having to remember, this and this and that means this and stuff, instead of having to remember all that, what you're going straight into is, okay, I see that I run a hitch. Now I coach them how to run the hitch from the moment we step on the field, instead of, this is what you do. This is what this means. Instead of doing that, okay, I see that I'm running a hitch. I see that now. It's how do I do this? I see that I'm running a post. How do I run this post? And that allows you to be so efficient, because one of the crappy things I learned from moving to college to high school is you have a very, very, limited amount of time with these kids. And if you're not being efficient, one, it's either going to show in games, or two, you're going to get calls from mommy and daddy. And so this has allowed us to be so efficient in what we're doing and get more reps, but also allows us to be more multiple. So instead of me having to go like, we're going to go quads right, and then we're going to tag a motion and a shift, and we're going to get instead of doing that, I just put it on the wrist coach, and we run it just like that. So I don't call formations. I don't call anything. I just call, we'll run way different formations, and we have hundreds of plays in our playbook as far as tags and shifts and motions and all that. But, we'll carry 60 into the week, and then we'll have our one word series. But those 60, you're never going to get to even all 60. You'll get to maybe, 30 or 40. I'm big, find what works and run it till it doesn't.
And you could throw in, this is the other thing I thought that is really good. Like, I like to have a couple of wrinkles each week that are not even in, nobody's seen them. How are you gonna teach them under the old system? Like, how are you gonna teach them that wrinkle? They got to memorize all this stuff. You know what I'm saying? Like, you teach them one wrinkle, you put it in. You could, if you have to, you put it in on the wrist. You know what I mean?
That's right.
And they remember that stuff. And I think that I started to think about it in the way, and I had Ruski, so I understood. Like, I was always trying to think, like, how can I integrate this into what I'm doing? Like, it just clicked. You know what it clicked from? And I told, obviously Derek's heard this a million times, but it clicked from 7-on-7. We have our club 7-on-7 team. We don't bother. There's no point in us memorizing plays. So they have it all on their wrist, right? And we want them to understand the concepts so they can run the plays conceptually and understand the routes that they got to do, so they can focus, like you said, on what they got to do, right?
That's right.
And one of my like youth assistants was like, why don't we just do it like what you do on 7-on-7, but make it I was like, oh my God. And I knew I had Rusko all those years. And I was like, oh my God, all right, I understand how I'm going to do this. And, but yeah, it's, I can't emphasize for coaches listening to it that it takes a certain amount off your plate. Like, it takes a lot, and it takes, the most important thing to me is, like, in your off season, a lot of times you might waste time in making them remember what the play is, what their concept is. Now you're paring down the number of concepts they have to remember. Very much like the run and shoot, Derek, when you played in, right? Like, you only had a certain concept. It's kind of like the same thing, same mindset. It's just that now it gives you a little bit more, a few more plays, right, that you could do, and wrinkles and stuff. But it's that same run and shoot mindset, whereas, like, we want to play fast, and I don't want my guys thinking about what the play is every single time. They know what these few concepts are, these few run play concepts are. And if you, in run shoot, sometimes guys had options, sometimes it did. I think did you guys have option? I don't know if you did when you were playing there. Yeah.
We always had some version of speed option, like, or even triple option, or all of it. I mean, I think overall simplicity is extremely important. And I think you can, simplicity in the amount of plays, but I think you can always mix that up with formations and stuff like that. But the root of it all is you have to instill that system and the concepts so that guys understand the big picture. I think that's the way you do it. And then you kind of work, I understand the linemen have to know this, and wideouts need to know this, and all those things. But I think you teach it as a group, then you break it down individually so that everybody knows their job. I feel the same way about defense. Like, I think guys all need to know where they fit into the puzzle. but that being said, the wristbands and that type of concept allows athletes to be athletes, right? The more thinking, the slower you're going to be. And for like, I don't need you to know this right now. I want you to understand the big picture of it all, but this is what we're doing now. Let's go and rock. Right. And I think, Coach, I think your point on, just like time management and all of that stuff, like, you know what I mean? Like you really have to be extremely efficient with what you're doing, and everything has to match up, right? Individual drills got to match up with the concepts that we're working so that those skills can kind of flow with it. I just love guys that walk out there, even at the high school level. It baffles me that, hey, what's the plan for today? There's no practice plan. There's no nothing. They're just out there winging it. It's just wild, right? It's just wild. The structure of everything, I think, even more so now with time restraints and the amount of time you actually get with your players, you really have to have that focus, on everything.
That's right.
Whether it be what plays you're going to run, whether it be the install of it, right? I think that stuff's, it all has to be in line. And if everybody doesn't get it, like, that one little extra 2-minute period that you have to now go and explain something a little bit more, you're going to miss something on the back end. And now we're playing catch up. So I think that's extremely important. I love that you brought that up about being efficient when it comes to it, because I think, especially as an offensive coordinator, you have to be so structured in the way that you implement it and the understanding of the offense. And then your players see that, right? Like they see how structured it is, and that, look, if this happens, we have an answer. We're here. You know what I mean? Like everything has an answer. We just got to be able to find it. Right.
That's right.
And the install allows you to do that. Right. Because if you have that foundation built into it, well, there's nothing they're going to throw at us that we don't have an answer for. It might not be something we focused on doing this week, but because you can always go back to what that foundation is, I think that's the root, and that's the key to a great offense.
That's right. And I think every OC, including myself, and I especially do, especially around this time of the year when it's a clinic, the clinic season.
Oh God. Yeah.
Listen, we struggle with wanting to do too much. You know what I'm saying? And we want to do everything.
100%.
And just because this Texas high school with straight D1 kids study, and they look sexy. We should, and you really have to humble yourself. And that's why I like Ruski is every week I'm limited to 60 plays, besides our one word series. So it makes me, we sit down the office every week, we're going to sit down. What are, the 60 most efficient plays, that we're going to execute at the highest level against the looks these guys are going to give us. And it allows you to, truly, you eliminate the fluff. And that's so important to me. So it keeps me honest as well as just, on top of all the other.
Coach, what other type of technology are you using when it comes to this? I mean, we use Go routes. I don't know if you're familiar with it. For practice, they're unbelievable. Right. I was ecstatic when Dave signed off on it and bought into like, damn, this is really awesome, because we brought him to the high school program that I'm at, and it's just the efficiency of it. You know what I mean? I think the way the game's going, you know what I mean? It was such a game changer for us practice wise.
That's right.
And look, everybody wants to talk about what type of players they have and all those kind of things, but I don't care if you have, the geniuses of the world, and you have some guys that really aren't on page, but like you give them any type of technology and like they're in, they're zoned in, you know what I mean? Like, and then you kind of go, are you using any type of AI stuff to kind of, with your breakdowns or any of that kind of stuff? What type of technology are you kind of dialing up?
Yeah, there's a few different, ways. The first, way, and not to segue back into a Ruski thing, is we use Ruski for scout as well. And that's what, makes things so good for me, and for two reasons. So one, it's great for me as an OC, because instead of having to do the defensive stat where I'm like, hey, you walk up here, you go here, hey, you walk down here, all that, you hand a kid a risk coach, you say, hey, there's 10 fronts and blitzes on here. Whatever play I call out, that's what you do. So he plugs it on. I say, hey, run play 5 right here. They get into an odd front and run a double mug. Or then I'll say, hey, you know what? Check. Hey, let's go play 7 here. And they're all of a sudden they're in an even front, running, like a drop 8. So doing that, we eliminate the defensive huddle. And then flip it on the same thing with the offensive side. Like let's say they're running, mesh. You hand them a thing and say, hey, you're the Z. Whatever play I call out, do what the Z does. Instead of having to, hold up your little thing and be like, hey, you're this line. Hey,
it's exactly. Look, we literally gained like the amount of plays and time. Now look, and once the kids get on, like, you know what I mean? Like, look, now does it take a little time on the front end of like, all right, we got to grab the go routes, we got to strap them on, make sure everybody's got everything, like the logistics of it, right? Or hey, we got to load it up, like that. But
that's right.
Once that, like, you save it on the back end, you know what I mean? So I get coaches wanting to like, hey, let's get to the next segment, let's go.
Yep.
All right, guys, let's get the belts on, you know what I mean? And look, even for our bigger guys where you kind of make the adjustment, I think like I've like, just to save time, like one belt stays extra big the entire time. So you know what? Like you put a piece of red tape on it so you can always grab that, give it to him, and you rock and go. You know what I mean? Like, and then the scout team guys, they love that thing too, because they can fly around and they're not, running to the position to get into a back pedal and do what they got to do.
That's right.
It's a really cool tool to utilize. And I like it's interesting, continue with that, because I don't want to get you off track, but it's just so much faster. It's unbelievable.
100%, and I agree. And either offensive scout O and scout E, you double your reps and stuff like that. But just kind of as far as other things, we have an analytics guy on staff. So he does a lot of our analytics and stuff like that. So he's able to kind of really sit down and what worked, what didn't work, stuff like that. But I'm a big fan of AI, man. So my Gemini, I use Gemini. So Gemini knows a little bit too much about me.
There you go, Dave.
He knows about everything. So
yeah. So there's no doubt. So like I was using it.
You found one, Dave. You got one.
Yeah, listen, all the guys in his age group, I'm telling you, I've always been kind of it's probably kind of a what would you call a counterculture guy as far as
one step below what people would define as like renegade.
Yeah. I would say I'm a renegade because I'm not reckless.
That's why I said one step below. He's not reckless. They're calculated risks that push the envelope. Put it that way.
I've always, and a part of it was I was always in bad situations as a head coach to start. So I kind of, as an assistant, by the way, I've never been in a bad situation. I've always been on the best programs ever.
Literally.
So, but I've always, as head coaching jobs, this must be some sort of like glutton for punishment thing that I say that I must have.
Some rough programs, coach.
I like the challenge. I always kind of like the challenge. You know what I mean? So, do I have enough skills? I thought of it like as a way I was as a player. You know what I mean? Like, am I going to be good enough to be able to get myself good enough to play this or be good at this or be a champion? Right. And then when I got the opportunity as a head coach, I kind of viewed it the same way. I always had a chip on my shoulder as a person growing up. And so I kind of, and listen, sometimes it works to my detriment. I won't say that it doesn't, but most of the time it works to my favor, and that and allows me to innovate and do some things that other guys, like I look at it like this: if you go to a place and your coach has won 5 state championships and you're the OC and you're going to be the guy that's going to get tabbed as the job, and you all of a sudden come in and just shake up the apple cart, you're probably going to get let go, right? It's pretty hard to do. Like if he ran the triple option and you say that you're going to run Mike Leach, air raid, and all of a sudden you go like 6-4, like they're going to get you out of there. So, but when you go into a program that hasn't won any games or almost whatever you do is probably upside. So, so you can take some risks. And I think that guys in your age group and your because you grew up with technology, because you grew up with Madden, because you grew up with thinking out of the box in a sense that like, you ask why more, right? Like,
Yeah.
it annoys the older coaches. There's no
Yeah.
doubt, but the good ones adapted to it. But the why culture, I think, helps you as a coach. Like,
That's right.
because you're like, why are we doing this? Why?
Definitely.
Why would we do this? So sometimes as a play, and you coach now, so sometimes when you're a coach and a player's always asking you why,
you're like, buddy,
you could be like it's a little bit
because
my son is that way. My son, like, you want to run this, like, even in basketball, you want to run this play, he'll be like, hey, these guys aren't moving fast enough to get to the spot where he's a point guard where you can pass it to him. Like, so I'm on an island dribbling over here, waiting for these guys to show open. You know what I mean? Like, can't I just go? So he'll ask those questions, but I'll see coaches, because most of them are older in the youth area, right? Because they have, and they're kind of going back now coaching after most of them haven't coached. So you're like, oh my God, like I could see their eyes going, oh my God. But to me, I look at it, usually in basketball, I'm assistant football head coach. I just kind of chuckle in the back of my head. I don't say anything. I say, listen to your coaches, but he'll come home and he'll say, like, why do we do that? I'm like, well, coach wants to run this. So here's how the world works. Okay.
Right.
The world
and
works
that's
like
a big change in the coaching world where, Dave, we talk about it. Like, we talk about it all the time, Coach. I mean, and I'm sure you were coached the same way, right? It was very disciplined, militant, right? Like, hey, this is my way. This is what we're doing. I don't need your input. This is how we do it. I think that's changed a little bit, right? With the why culture, whether it's social media or just access to more, right? I mean, coaches it used to be VHS tapes and DVDs, brother. You know what I'm saying? Like, now it's our games are uploaded and already ready to rock and roll. I mean, shit, we're doing it on the sideline. You know what I mean? Here in Jersey, we can use the iPads right on the sideline. It's legal, right? So I can bring my offensive line, show them the play, and go, right? Like that technology wasn't there. It used to be, you got to ask the guy, hey man, what are you seeing out there? And it's like, you're not seeing that once you look at the tape after the fact, right? Now you get that immediate feedback.
Well, and it's like, and that's what, when we do, especially our like passing game install and stuff like that, I'm a big, I'm a Leach guy. So we do all the MORs, the must outside release. And so, when I was first starting, it was just, like you said, you did it because you're told to do it now. And I find I don't even wait for them to ask. I do it now. I tell them, hey, this is why you have to outside release here. And this is why you're getting that corner to flip his hips. And this is why on our
it's also, your kids, right? Like, they're going to ask this question. So now I call it coaching in crayon, right? Like those, the install's always going to be the install. We're going to start with footwork. We're going to start, and I'm going to explain to them exactly why, because I don't want them also going out there wondering why. And most aren't going to ask the question, right? Because they're fearful of somebody being like, dude, how do you not know why we're doing this? Like, we've been doing this. Right. So you adapt your coaching that way, and you break it down and you keep it moving, right? You keep it moving and you keep the flow going, because I think that's a big part of it.
Well, and just all of it, and thinking outside the box. That's what, like, I remember watching football. This is a core memory. This was with one of my buddies, and he's just a football casual. Like, he watches, the big college games and the big NFL games, but he's by no means a football guy. And a team was winning. I think it was the Chiefs and somebody. They were winning 21-10. And then the other team scored, and it was 21-16. My friend was like, he's a smart guy. He was like, they just kicked a PAT. I'm like, yeah, it's 21-17. He said, why would they not go for two? And, that makes it a field goal. And I'm like, that's just how it always is. I don't know. You just kick the PAT. Like, I don't know why. And so, sitting down with him, it's like, when I'm a head guy, if I'm, down 21-10 and we score, I might just kick that or go for two and get it to within a field goal. Because, being down 4, being down 5, who cares?
Well, it's like the guys that go for, like, and you've seen a lot of trends recently, right? Like, what is fourth down really? You know what I mean? When you're looking at percentages, like, why not just run a play if it's fourth and, 5 or less or whatever? I think that's something that's because, look, calling a play, knowing you're going for it on fourth, that changes your second down call, right? Or your third down call, like all of that stuff, knowing going forward. I think those are some of the things. And look, Coach Schumann's always been one of those guys that, like, pushes the envelope or is not conventional in some, I don't know. I feel like it gets a bad rap a lot when you're willing to do things or take risks or just, try other things.
Administrations have a hard time with it.
Parents have a hard time
because they're
with it.
my age. Well, parents do too. They're my age or your age, Derek, right? So maybe, maybe, no, your age. Yeah, I'm old. I'm probably an older.
I'm
parent.
the divider, but like I'm the divider
between
where
your age and my age.
Change happened right towards the tail end of my high school career, 2004, to the end of my college career, 2008, is right where things started to like trend in a different type of direction where it wasn't so structured and whatever. And look, I'm a different entity because we were slinging the thing around going empty with wristbands like in the mid 90s, right? Like we were the original, like,
counterculture.
We were doing extreme. I mean, look, when you line it up and it's like the guy across from you is an outside linebacker with a neck roll, and it's like, oh, we're good here. You know what I'm saying? Like guys were still trying to do all that kind of shit. And it was like, people thought we went fast. We didn't even really go fast. We just lined up. We just didn't huddle. You know what I mean? Like, but throwing the ball as much as we did. I mean, shit, in high school, I've been a part of games where we threw 70 times a game. You know what I mean? Like that was like unheard of. Guys didn't do that. Now I feel like the trend is going the other way. Michigan wins the title a couple of years ago, going with like the old school T backfield, bigger bodies on the field. You see this trend now, right? The Rams. What personnel were they in majority of the year?
13,
you know what I'm saying? Like, dude, like it's, and Dave's been around, long enough as the old head in the room to see some of these trends of whatever it is. Guys are just very, very hesitant to take those risks, especially if you've been successful, kind of doing what you do. We see it a lot with the strength and conditioning world of, less is more now, all of these types of, but it's hard to get those, the administrators, the parents to get on trend with something, that's kind of not proven. It's maybe, something that's like, oh, that's enticing, or, hey, that's kind of interesting. Let's kind of run with it. But I think in order to get that point across, and I can tell you have that, coach, is you need to, especially as a coordinator going into a new place, right? You're bringing in your system. You have to be hands down, all in. This is what we're doing. This is why we're doing it. You have to like almost like that confidence has to like seep through your pores of this is what it is. And you got to know that system inside and out and be able to answer any question, any position across the board. You know what I mean? Because guys want answers, kids want answers. When you have that, I think backing you when you're implementing a system, I think that's extremely important, right? I do the same thing with my special teams when it comes to, well, why are you doing that? It's like, okay, well, this is exactly why you're doing this, you're doing this. And then you have evidence to back it up, right? Like you could roll out tape and be like, hey, here's what it is when we run snag and they do this, bam. You know what I mean? Like that stuff I think has to be, when you're implementing it to show all those other people, like you almost have to double down and prove your point, right? Like has to be in bold.
1,000,000%. I agree. And that's what, that's why, like, you can, whether you're going into an awful situation or an amazing situation, you have to carry yourself the same way. And like you were saying, so that's why, I've always been, I've been blessed. I've never been part of a program, going back to high school with a losing record. I've never.
Oh, shit. Well, let's hey, buddy, let's like, you know what I mean? Like, come on.
And
oh my God.
It's not me. It's not me. It's just, I'm able to, I was able, one of the first things, my high school coach, told me about, he was like, choose your jobs carefully. And,
damn right.
Wait, be patient.
Right.
I wanted to be an OC for a long time, and I've had chances to be an OC before this, but
so many young guys rush it because they want the title or they want to be the play caller. Whereas my generation was more work your way up, learn the game, right? Kind of sit in the weed. Like, look, you're in the room, but you don't say shit. You just keep your mouth shut until you actually can have something worth, and that takes some years, right? Kind of earn your street cred or what it is. The younger generation, and I'm not shitting on them or whatever, but like, they're just such in a rush to get to that play caller. They all think they can do it because, like you said, they grew up with Madden and they grew up like, like it's just, everybody wants to be all fancy and do all this. Well, why are you running that? Right. Like we see the world of social media trainers and all this stuff, like, teaching receivers with dancing and releasing and all the craziness of what is like, well, when does that work? How does that fit into a system? Right. Some of those guys can't communicate that or get that across. And I think that the teaching aspect is always going to be there with coaching. If you can't teach, you can't coach.
Well, and that's what, and touching on that for a minute, trainers, I mean, especially down here, man, this is a very affluent area. So these guys are giving their trainers hundreds
buku bucks, right?
To screw their kids over. Like they're teaching, we're doing a full karaoke warm up as we're, getting off the line of scrimmage for an alert go. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like we don't have time for this. We're as a quarterback, everybody's Aaron Rodgers, man. We're all releasing sidearm and not
everybody's throwing back across their body like Patrick Mahomes and all that kind of craziness. It's brutal.
And we're sprinting 20 yards down the field to throw up our back foot. Like it's just like it's awful. And I think within the next 5 years we're going to see and we're seeing it right now because like everybody's talking about last quarterback class wasn't that great. This quarterback class isn't that great. There's something going on right now to where there's no, when Phillip Rivers came in, this dude is a grandpa, like a literal grandpa, limping in the game. Successful. And yet he's able to make the alerts and set the guys and get the guy lined up and do all that because he has this core, he has this mental game that we're not teaching anymore. And I can go on a big spiel about this, but yes, I'm in 100% agreement, Coach.
Yeah, well, one of the things that's happened quarterback wise, in my opinion, and everybody wants to have some sort of, and the same thing, receiver and quarterbacks, you see it the most because that's the Instagram. There's three areas that you want to get a lot of likes. This is my social media advice of the day. There are 3 areas. If you want to be crazy in these 3 areas, you will get lots of likes and lots of follows. Number 1, any crazy speed and conditioning drill that you want to do that looks completely out of its mind, do that. Mm-hmm. That will get you a lot of likes, okay?
That's right.
Number 2, crazy, ridiculous releases that take 7,000 hours to get off the line, but look really cool. That's number 2. And number 3, some sort of weird sidearm motion where you just say everything's about rotating the hips, and then your arms doing this over and over again. That's right. As me and Derek obviously have interviewed so many guys. I mean, literally, we're working towards 300. And
today is, by the way, Luke. Congrats to the 300th episode.
Hey, all right. Congrats to you guys. Hey, that's you guys, man. That's not me. The congrats. Guys.
Oh, it's been a lot. It's been a lot. But we have talked to numerous guys and their views on this specifics, right? Of just what is training for clicks and what is true football. We dealt with it so much in the 7-on-7 world, right, Dave? When we started out, 7-on-7 was a gimmick type of football. And how does that relate to real football? It took a lot of time for us to hammer down. It's not real football, but the elements that go
competition is good. Right.
These are the benefits that can help you with it, by utilizing it, and it took a long time to kind of get that stuff across.
Yeah. And I think in the high school world, it's tough because you are split between doing what's best for you to win games and doing what's best to put the kids in a successful position to play at the next level. So I teach a really, really unconventional drop. You'll never see everything we do is a 1-step drop, and we have dead legs, and we're doing that. And I do that for a few reasons. I've learned that the crossover step at the high school level gets you screwed because when you have that defensive end coming unblocked because your tackle missed it and your quarterback's in the middle of a crossover, you're in between a rock and a hard place. So we teach a 1-step drop. Our feet get set, but with doing all that, we're at the same time we train our eyes, we train our hips, we train our feet. We're not doing all this 8-step drops from the shotgun and we're throwing the ball at 20 yards deep. We're not doing all that. So we are unconventional, but at the same time, like I said, we're trying to do it at the high level. So, same thing. Everybody always says, wing T guys don't get recruited. I mean, and obviously everybody always points to, Favre and all that. You as a coach have a duty. Your kids are going to get a whole lot more looks if you're winning games than if you're, running the spread and losing everything. So
whatever you need to run to put them in your team in the best position is the thing you run.
That's
I've been in, the truth is other than a couple of teams, if I wasn't running the ball way more than throwing, I was, you know, I didn't have as good of teams in high school. If I was all of a sudden throwing all over the place, that means that I couldn't run. But by the way, I'm usually spread in some version of that, you know, but it's but one of the things that I think is so important and is really important is where are your kids on the progression line of what they're doing? So I go, you know, if I pull up videos of Tariq Hill or, you know, Keenan Allen or
free agent.
But I'm saying, like, old video, you watch what they're doing, right, route wise, and then you go and you say, okay, if I can replicate that would make me good. But there's been a progression along the line of their abilities to get to that point. So in a high school game, right, like first you got to get, like, you know, I would say it's like first as a youth player, you know, if you're in 5th grade, you got to get better, good enough to be better in 6th grade. Then you got to, as you're thinking about the long term, you're also thinking about the near term of what you got to continue to do to get better in each phase. So you're balancing both of those things, okay? Near term progression and long term progression, right? And so, you don't want to rush any process, okay? But you need to know what steps. So if you go out and you're gonna, as soon as the ball snapped as a receiver, you release. Then you 2 foot in the ground wide step. 90% of the high school players, if anyone plays man-to-man against that, that's the end of the play for that kid.
Yep.
That's the end of the play because that corner, the good coach says, okay, this kid off the line, this is his release. Just jam him, dude. That's it.
That's right.
Quarterback's going somewhere else. So now the dude's a dude, a real dude. That's a different story. He's at a different progression level. Okay.
That's right.
So then that guy can do some of those things, right? And what happens is that the problem that high school coaches get into with trainers is they go and jump to what they see the pro does, right? And that may be correct as far as at the elite level.
That's
you can do those things. But when you teach it to a kid, I'll use another example. You're playing cover 3 zone. And you start dancing all over the place. You got a certain spot now because the ball is coming out. A short hit's coming out now because they're playing off in cover 3, right?
That's right.
And you're dancing. That doesn't make any sense, right? So obviously, as a high school coach, you get into these battles, okay? Especially when you have a good player, right? Like, you know, they're like, well, you know, my trainer taught me this, and I could do this, and this. And it's like that's not needed for what's going in right now. Like,
I agree.
Not needed. Same thing with running back stuff, right? Like, okay, it's great. I watch you. We all work change of direction. We all work explosion. We all work acceleration, deceleration. Okay. There's a hole. You have to sprint through that hole.
That's
as
right.
fast as you humanly possible can. When you get through that hole and you see a guy come near you and you have to then make a move at that point, run him over, change your whatever, then that's what happens. But it does not happen at the line. It happens when you get through the hole. And sometimes, actually, probably 80 to 90% of your game, you're not even going to get that opportunity. You got to just get through the hole and get us 5, 6, or whatever. Right?
That's right.
And see, that's one of the things that happens with the trainer coach disconnect is that
that's right.
As if I'm going to get paid, as a trainer, if I'm not doing things that are showing the parent this is really cool right now, parents going to go somewhere else. But you have to understand that there's a short and long term. What is the progression right now? What are some things that we want to get him good at for the future? You introduce a little bit here and there, and the communication has to be, hey, you may not even use this in the whole entire season.
100% agree.
You have one of these things in your toolbox as you get older and better that you can use when the time is right. Talk a little bit about that, Coach.
No, I'm in 100% agreement. And that's what, we're seeing, I think that when kids play fast, they play the best. So we're seeing kids having to think about every little thing now because they're going to these trainers and that's what, like I was saying, almost all of our drop back games, we have an alert, and the alert, it's either a go or a post or something like that. Like we have a deep ball alert. but you're going to get bypassed, and that just hurts you as a player. That hurts you for your recruiting because you're getting less targets. That hurts you right now, with your girlfriend because you're not getting the yards or the stats, or you're not looking good.
You don't want to be with that guy.
That's right. So do it, and that's what when I coached at Marshall, it was the same thing as far as like when we brought the kids in for our camps. This is how we're going to teach you to do it, but how your high school teaches you to do it, that's how you got to do it, dog. And
first thing we talk about, right? Like,
that's right.
You don't want to be that guy that goes back to your high school coach and says, well, my trainer told me to do, buddy.
Mm-hmm.
Minus, you know what I'm saying?
Yep.
Like, we're just giving you more tools to put in your toolbox, but your way is your way, right?
And know the appropriate time to ask that, right? So,
correct.
So there might be a situation, someone rolls up man to man, you have some sort of route thing, and you have something in your toolbox that the trainer did teach you, and you go and you say, listen, coach, I think if I do this kind of little move, you show the coach, right?
Yeah.
After practice, hey, would you think this move would apply here? What I mean? Versus our general release, right?
Yeah,
and then that's where it comes in. What I'm saying? It's but you probably deal with it. Listen, I think you deal with it on both sides. The kids that are wealthy, the kids that are also can be taken advantage of because they don't have money, right?
That's
so
right.
I think it happens on both sides.
Well, and that's what at this where I'm at this spot. It's we were blessed to have a great kid, but I always have to use the word like they have almost the opposite problem. I have to use the words, hey, be savvy, like be a football player, because they will, if you tell them to do something, they will do it down to a T. And if you don't explain it to 100, like if you say, hey, take 3 steps and then you're good, they'll take 3 steps and just stop. You know what I'm saying? Like, and
they're so disciplined and literal.
That's right. So we're be a football player, have some savviness about yourself. Right. And that's the opposite end of the spectrum. So, being able to unlock that out of a kid is such a big deal.
Now compare that to your, is that in comparison for where you are now, coach, in comparison to where you were, say, like in Kentucky? Like, how was that? Yeah. Like, was it the same kid, different kid? How did that kind of work? The dynamics of talk about that a little bit, how the specifications of kind of the players you have kind of dictate what you do offensively. Does that play a role?
100%. And
I'm not talking a quarterback that can sling it or athletes that can spread it. I'm talking just here's what we have. Okay, this is the system, but how does that kind of work?
Yeah. So, and that's what where I was in Kentucky, man, that was a good spot. Quarterback, amazing player, went to Louisville. Like, it's just like guys on guys. And so, being there, you were able to be more, multiple and do other things. But at the same time those kids, they grew up playing football, from when they were 3. So they were savvy. They knew, hey, if this guy attacks me from this angle, this is how I plan on attacking him. This is how I plan on stacking him and releasing and all that. So you're able to do that at a high level. Here, it's like a lot of these, man, lacrosse is huge here. I didn't realize it. Lacrosse is everything here. And I know you got
phenomenal sport. It's really big where we are in Jersey too. Lacrosse is a big thing here. It definitely is, no doubt.
Kids grow up playing that. Kids grow up playing soccer. Like everywhere I've been, soccer's a fall sport. And then here's the spring sport. So you have football players that play soccer. So it's like it's such a unique thing to me. But just figuring out, what makes this kid tick is kind of the biggest thing you have to figure out no matter where you are. What makes this kid tick? What is this kid's pros? What is this kid's weaknesses? And how can I use that to, do what we want to do? Because as an OC, is at the high school level, your system cannot change. But at the same time, your system cannot stay the same because you have to fit what players you have now. So you can't go out and recruit the players that you're looking for.
That's what I was just going to reference. You're getting who you get.
That's right. So it's this happy medium of your system is your system. Now, what in your system can you use to help this kid out? And that's what's super important.
Yeah, I think that's a huge thing. The relationship between what you're able to do, what the system needs you to do is so important. And by the way, it's not just offensively. I mean, these things go to defensive, defensive stuff as well. I'll watch a kid make a move. I'm like, they're running the ball, dude. Why are you making those moves?
That's right.
They're running the ball. You need to get rid of your guy and get to the ball. I see the 2-handed smack. I see this, and I'm like, what? Dude, they're running the ball. you know?
That's right.
So these are all things because everything is progression. Everything is where you're at. Everybody's at different levels. There's no doubt about it. It's
right.
What's hard for high school coaches is you're obviously trying to win games, and you need them to understand that they're sure like everything's like like at the bottom of there's a pyramid. The bottom of the pyramid, okay, is your base level part of your program, right?
That's right.
And you need them to do whatever your program is, these things well. These things have to be done well before you can go to the next part of the pyramid. And most of your team, even great teams, is if you're really good, everybody does the bottom part well. Everybody.
Yep.
If everybody does the bottom part well, you're probably going to be pretty good. And
That's
then
right.
as you move up, like, if you got a lot of guys, getting towards the top part of the pyramid, you're a champ, like literally a state championship team, and elite team, and you're doing that year in and year out, you're literally at the top part of the pyramid. But if you're going to win a lot of games if you could do the bottom part of the pyramid really well, all the basic stuff, and then it starts to move up. And then if you can figure out how to make your basic stuff really applicable for everybody and get them to play fast, now whatever your base is, like some guys, that's why I say your system is great, and that's why I like the run and shoot model. I mean, I never ran the run and shoot offense, but the thought process of it, right? It's like, hey, this is what we do. This is our base. This is what makes the wing tee effective. Okay. To this day, even though I'm not a wing tee guy, I love pin and pull, but blocking scheme, but I'm not a fan of the wing tee because I think if I got the team to stop it, like I can, it's going to be hard to win a championship if someone has athletes and the coaches can teach how to stop the wing tee. You're going to have a problem.
That's right.
Okay. But most coaches can't, right? So that's going to win you maybe 80% of your games. So whatever that base is, what happens is a lot of guys forget to get their base really good. And then they're doing all kinds of things and they haven't gotten their base good and they can't make that progress. But it's really good. I wanted to ask you, I want to go back to football, but I do want to ask you about your background. The Hatfield part, because I would be really upset with myself if I had a Hatfield on the line and I let him off the podcast because we talk all football the whole entire time, and I didn't ask him about the background and the history of everything, and yourself, the relationship to it.
That's right, man. So we were referencing the movie or the series earlier. So the guy that plays Kevin Costner is my great grandfather. Devil Lance Hatfield is my, the leader of the Hatfield clan, however you want to, he was my great grandfather. I mean, just phenomenal. It's a phenomenal family to be a part of, man. Like there is no family that loves each other and fights each other as much as ours. So, we're going to the reunions and we're, doing all the stuff. And it's my dad's side of the family, obviously. So he kind of, I grew up and he's telling me all these stories. This was before the show came out. So he's telling me all these stories and everything that happened, making sure I knew we were the winners. Just a little bit of everything, man. So it's cool to be a part of history. What people don't know, man, is West Virginia and Kentucky were about 30 minutes away from being at war with each other. So it was going to be the first state-on-state war. They're pulling in, like back then it was still in the militias. So they're about to pull in the militias and meet at the Tug River. And thankfully the governors the governors were for it too. So the president, it was President Grant and a couple other ones were able to kind of step in and talk some peace and everything. But man, like there was going to be state-on-state war and something crazy was going to happen. And obviously it didn't get to that point, but man, it's cool to be such a part of history for sure.
That's amazing. What are some of what are some of the stories that are a story that you've been told that maybe the general public may not know, or that about, like some of the stuff that went on and just the pride in your family, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah, that's I think the biggest part of it.
Are still a thriving thing. What are we talking? 200 years later, really, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So, talk a little bit about that,
dude. It's hilarious, but obviously they're not. One thing that sticks out, and honestly, I don't know if it's a good or bad thing, but is they're not really able to put it in the shows is like just how much, like how gruesome this was. Like these guys would like literally mutilate each other's bodies after they killed. Like there's some like where like I guess one of the Hatfield guys like literally pulled the heart out and put it up there and like nailed it to a tree because he was trying to go after another girl or something like that. Like it was insane. And the Hatfields were always the more affluent of the two. So the McCoys were like the working class guys. The Hatfields they owned the timber business, so they had the whole compound and stuff. So they had a lot more resources, and it helped. Devil Anse Hatfield's brother, his name was Preacher Ants. He was a federal judge, so he was able to kind of manipulate the situation.
Lean it one way a
better
little bit.
politically too, as I remember.
Yeah, absolutely. Yes. Yeah. They were more of the I don't know. Like you said, politically correct way of doing things.
They were better at it. They knew how.
Right.
I'm just going off of the series.
Yeah.
I don't tell me if it's, but it was Costner was really good. Your great grandfather was really good in understanding how to get things done in a really difficult environment. Like, I mean, people now don't understand how the world was back then, it was like raw, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
But like you could walk into a place and try to make broker a situation and be killed, you know what I mean?
That's right.
So you really
it goes way deeper than that. So like, he knew, like, obviously we talked about earlier, networking is so important. He knew. So what he did was, and this is insane, before the Civil War started, he sent about half of his sons and brothers to go fight for the Confederate and half to go fight for the Union. So if there was a winning side,
he was on it.
He was on it. And so they were able to take the power players from both and unite them after the war was over to use each other to their advantage and stuff like that. Like it, because West Virginia was right. Most of West Virginia,
that was kind of like the right, like which way kind of
exactly. So like half of West Virginia went and fought for the Union, half went and fought for the Confederates, because like Southern West Virginia, I mean, that's Confederate stronghold. That's like Virginia and all that. That's kind of their area. But the northern part and all that was the Union, and Kentucky was more Union. Like the McCoys were all Union guys. And people don't know, like, and I think it shows at the very beginning of the show, like McCoy, Randall McCoy and Devil Anse Hatfield fought side by side in the Union,
right?
Like they fought together. So it's like it's crazy the way he was able to manipulate. And one of his sons ended up being the governor later on of West Virginia. And so he was able to, like I said, like he put guys where they needed to be. I compared to, like, it was like the mafia. Like it really was. Right. Like he had all these power players and he plugged them in. And there was levels to it. So like, like I know Jim Vance is, that's part of my family as well. He's part of the Logan Wildcats, which was a Confederate unit. And he was Devil Anse's best friend. He wasn't in the Hatfield, but he's part of the Hatfield family. You know what I mean?
Right. Yeah.
And so they were able to, there was associates and there was known, and you were known. And, if you were one of these guys, hey, you were when you went to the bar, you weren't paying for your drinks. So it's the way how deep it ties, and the way he was so intelligent. I'm not saying he was a good person, but he was so intelligent. He was able to manipulate situations at a super high level.
I mean, look, you started this off though with, coaching is networking, right? And it's relationships, and it's all that, and it just ties into the history, right? Of like the family and everything about, like it's a lot of who I get it, but the relationships that you form within this network of coaching and the fraternity, the brotherhood, right? It's why you have the ability to go to higher level programs, right? It's because you can develop those relationships and continue that network. Coaching is so much of that within a fraternity, right? We're all trying to beat each other's ass on Friday night or Saturday or whenever we play, but at the same time, we're all trying to help each other get better and improve and what's best for our kids. And it's one of the greatest things about, doing this show and this podcast is the network and just talking to guys across the country about certain things. Look, it might not be something you're going to use directly, but maybe somebody that could use it, or you're not going to use it, right? But you have it, it's in your toolbox to utilize and whatnot. It all kind of ties hand in hand. It's really awesome to see.
Derek, if I go down to West Virginia, like just dropping his name everywhere. So
yeah, buddy.
Yeah.
just to
Make sure you're in the right spot.
Any place, you know what I mean? Maybe I get a free meal somewhere. You know what I mean?
That's
So
right. Listen, I had to go. Listen, I spent some time in Kentucky, like I said, so I was in enemy
must have been
territory.
tough.
Dude, I was like bobbing and weaving, dog. Like,
Yeah,
it was-
Sure. You know, look, you walk in there, like that record player stops when you walk into some of those places, knowing
That's
just your
right.
last name. You know what I mean?
That's
It's
right.
really cool.
Kentucky's a
It's
great
awesome.
place. Kentucky is. I
It
mean,
is.
where were you in Kentucky? What were you near?
So I was southeast Kentucky, so I was in Corbin. So I was in Kentucky in I watched 23, 24. So amazing area.
What's the nearest like big city from there?
So it was
I've been
cool
to a lot of
spot.
places because I ran showcases for years and
Yeah.
years all over the country. So I've been to almost Kentucky. I've been to Lexington, Louisville. I mean,
Yeah.
I'm trying to think of where else. I've been somewhere else in Kentucky too. I can't remember.
So what was so great about where I was is it was exactly an hour from Lexington and exactly an hour from Knoxville. So it was right on 75, literally right in the middle. So, you know, it was an hour from both. It was a great spot. And like I said, dude, that place was small town Georgia, small town Texas football. Like the high school, you know, there were 4A schools, so they had probably about 1,000 kids, but they were, I mean, there was 1,000 kids, but they had, you know, 100 and some on the team. And they had, they have a beautiful, they put a lot of money into their stadium. I mean, a gorgeous stadium, and they pack it out every week. Like it was a cool spot to be in for sure.
No doubt about it. People don't realize that Knoxville and Lexington are actually very, very close to each other.
Oh yeah.
They don't realize that that Tennessee Kentucky borderline,
That's right.
That, although Tennessee usually just kills Kentucky in football, but it's the other way around in basketball.
Right.
Now it's kind of like some years it's either way now in both. So that's changed. But it used to be like Tennessee kills Kentucky in football, Kentucky kills Tennessee in basketball.
That's
but
right.
It's really interesting. Listen, it was great having you on the podcast.
No doubt.
Just let us know what are places people can reach out to you. The best way is Twitter, whatever. And by the way, I think what you're doing is great, dude. You got I love Charleston, that area. I mean, you made a great life move. I'm actually jealous. I lived there I ran an event down there, and I lived there for a few months, and been down there many, many times. And so when you're talking about Mount Pleasant, and I stayed on the Isle of the Palms. So
where I live, I'm about 10 minutes from Sullivan's Island. I'm about 15 minutes from Isle of Palms. So it's, we go down and we stay at the beach for a couple hours, and everybody was, freaking out when all that ice took over kind of the country. And I was down here going to install with my windows down. Now we got a little dusting a little bit after that. But it was gone the next day, and the school shut down. They freaked out. And what they told me was the whole county, it's like 2.5 million people, and the whole county, all of Charleston County, only has one snowplow.
They don't have the infrastructure. They don't have the logistics of clearing snow. It just they don't.
And
have
there is. I would say I live about 20 minutes from PG where I go, and I think I go over 3 or 4 bridges. So there's so many bridges. And so they were all freaking out. But yeah, no, dude, it's a beautiful area. It's an expensive area now. You got to come ready for that.
Well, it's funny because in 2010, where we ran our event, Porter Gaud is right next to the Citadel, right?
Yeah,
so
that's right.
So we ran our event. We ran this. Actually, we had Johnny Manziel and Marcus Mariota in our game, and we ran this huge event there and down at the Citadel. And so I stayed down there, but it was such an interesting place because you have to go over these bridges to go everywhere outside of downtown Charleston. And back then, Mount Pleasant, I was like, man, I don't know, maybe I want to move here. And I was looking at I had guys take me around and for houses and stuff.
Yeah.
And I won't even say what the prices were back then, but it's crazy because basically you had $300,000 homes, which are now $1 million plus. Now. But I remember I was like, man, I should just get something just in case. And I did it because as much of a risk taker as I am in sports and all those things, I don't know, for whatever reason, I don't understand real estate the same way. my wife is much better with that than I. But if I wish I was with her back then, because we would have a house right now.
That's right.
In South Carolina down that
So
area.
I just looked. So I live in between Daniel Island and Mount Pleasant. So there's two islands. I live right in between them. Daniel Island, the average house price of a sale there is about $4.5 million. Okay, and Mount Pleasant, it's about $2.5 million. So I like it's just like you it is insane, and it's gone up so much in the past 10 years from people that I've talked to, and what hasn't gone up in the past 10 years to match it is obviously wages. So we're very much becoming a vacation and affluent town, to where soon it's going to be like we're Beverly Hills, or like in Massachusetts, the one up there, whatever it is. So it's very much heading in that direction.
Well, I noticed that what's the island? It starts with a K. That's near there, and then James Island, is that near there too?
Kiowa Island. Yeah,
Kiowa and James, right? So that
James
whole
Island,
area, everybody was started to sell their homes at a discount because I guess the boom had happened, and they're a little bit farther out, right? So it's really a vacation area, right?
Yeah.
So like people are like, "Whoa, I'm not going to get the value for it."
That's right.
Whereas obviously where you are is really still up like a heavy still heavy, even though it obviously it's leverage. I mean, Isle of Palms, I'm assuming is mostly still vacation homes, but it was that's where we rented a house there, and it was like Derek, it was awesome. That's the only way I could put it. And I was still young back then, so it was awesome. We would go down.
I mean, look, we've had a lot of guys. We've had a lot of South Carolina guys on. You know what I mean? And just even the not so much. I mean, even like the living and all that. Like
you
the
have
football
to
stuff. Like it's a really nice. I love Charleston. I've been there. It's amazing.
Oh, you've been there.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely. Yeah, it's a really cool place. It's a really awesome, just structure and just kind of how it is.
So great. What's so great about like Sullivan's Island, which is about 10 minutes from where I live. It's resident only. Like it is illegal to rent out there. So that's where, and these are the houses where all the celebrities, so like Darius Rucker, Reese Witherspoon, the late night guy, Colbert. Everybody has their house there,
because it's not just people that are like Airbnb or whatever.
Right. And there's a very, very little public beach accesses. So, obviously the locals help me out and, tell me where to go. But dude, I've ran into celebrities, you'll see NFL players out there. Like, it's just like, it's wild.
It's almost like a hidden gem.
Sullivan Island is where Fort Sumter, like the Fort Sumter is?
Yes, right off of it. Yep. So there's Fort Moultrie is right on Sullivan's Island.
Fort Moultrie. Okay.
And that's another one. So like, Sullivan's Island and Isle of Palms are right beside each other, but and that's what I love about Charleston. There's anything like it. It's every single island is a completely different vibe. They say, I guess Hawaii is the same way. I've never been, but it's like every island is completely different. So like the where I'm on Daniel Island, it's very affluent, but very older age people, beautiful houses. Mount Pleasant is more of like a lively younger person hub, a lot of really nice restaurants, stuff like that. And then downtown is obviously your historic downtown. I mean, all that. And then James Island is more, there's more culture there. There's more diversity over there. There's kind of different. Folly Beach is like everybody loves Folly Beach. It's like the hangout spot. That's like the party type joint. And then, John's Island is where there's horses and there's, farms and stuff out there. And it's a beautiful area. And then Kiowa Island is where it has the #1 golf course in the country. And it's $1 million houses. And then there's Edisto Island, which is like a very nature-based island. So every single island has its own personality. Dude, and it's such a cool place, because that's what I told my wife. She's like, it's so expensive. I said, I know, but we'll never have to vacation anywhere because we just go to another island and spend go back home. So it's a really cool spot for sure.
Yeah, it's not West Virginia.
That's for sure, man. That's for sure. There ain't no hills around here, dog.
Oh man, no, there's no doubt. No, there's no doubt about it.
Coach, we appreciate it, man.
Thanks so much. What's your Twitter again, so people know?
So a couple ways guys can reach me. So my Twitter is at coach_hat_LB. And then my email is just luke@ruski.com. That might be the easiest way. So luke@ruski.com. Hit me up, man. Any questions or anybody curious about Ruski or curious about, ball, I love connecting, like I said, networking and building guys out. So whatever anybody needs, just let me know.
Appreciate
Absolutely. Thanks so much, Coach. That was awesome. I really
Thanks, Coach.
appreciate you coming
Appreciate
out. 300th show. Now I know.
There we go. Congrats, guys.
There it is.
With
Thanks so
Hatfield.
much, Coach. Have a
That's
great
right.
day.
Appreciate you guys.
Bye.
All right, man.
All right, that was awesome, dude.
Gonna do good things, man. Like I love when guys just like the confidence within their system like just comes out of them and like they have answers to all the questions, you know what I mean? Like they're just plugged into really understanding the bigger picture of what it takes to be a high level coordinator and what that, you know what I mean? Like, I mean, he ripped off talking about his 5 base runs like it was, nothing, you know what I mean? And
yeah,
I think that's just such a trait that I think so many guys like overlook because yes, is this system stuff that's out there, right? Like the air raid and the whatever, but he has his own niche of talking about like his QB drops and whatever it takes. Like we run outside zone, like not traditional, like this is the way we do it. You know what I mean? Like he's got his spin on it. It's awesome. I can't wait to see kind of what he does, especially in a place like that where the kids are kind of affluent and can, do some extra things to help them. It's pretty cool.
Yeah, no, it is really cool. And it's interesting hearing younger coaches' perspective too on the trainer thing, because they're going to be more apt to be open to it.
And another guy that took the coaching route from the jump.
Yeah, yes.
Like, I'm not going to go play D3 and do whatever. Like, no, I'm going to get into my undergrad right now and go work at freaking Marshall. Like,
if you can get this guy on, and I'm putting it on the live show just because maybe because he probably has a similar feed as us. But if you could get this guy on from a speed standpoint, it would be, I think, I've watched him on a couple of podcasts. He's a gem. His name is Stu McMillan. I think he's from England. And I think he's either Irish or English. I don't want to mess it up, but he coached a lot of the Great Britain sprinters. And but he does a lot of, obviously, like all these guys do now, a lot of sport specifics, like work with a lot of guys from different sports, like NFL players. But he's, I've watched a handful of his stuff.
Stuart McMillan.
Yeah, he's pretty. I like about him. Like he's old. He's probably like 60, and he talks a lot about a lot of the stuff that the other guys talk about. But he talks about that there are certain things that, because he coached so many Olympians, you know what I'm saying, that Olympic guys can do. And I'm talking about like that you can't really replicate until you get to that level. Like you could teach it to them, but you're kind of putting the cart before the horse, type of deal, right? Like he talked about an innate coordination in running fast. Okay. That you have to improve that first. He's like, and some people will never get there, okay, to the level that they'll get better. You know what I mean? But there's an innate coordination to being able to like foot strike and turnover and all those kind of things that a lot of the guys that he's worked at the Olympic level had, okay, and that then he had to be careful in how they improved it. Because he didn't want them to lose it, but they had to work certain things like, maybe a guy sprinted really, like was a great, I don't know, a 9.95 sprinter, but there might have been a couple of flaws maybe with their arms.
You need to make some tweaks or changes or some of that, but not too much to like have them overthink it and now go back.
Exactly what he talks about. So because it triggered my brain when we were talking about guys overthinking.
Well, yeah, because he just started talking. He brought, Coach brought that up, and like sometimes, because now you start overthinking every little detail of stuff that you just kind of used to do it, and now all of a sudden you're thinking about it, and now it's going to slow you down, or it's going to hinder you, or it's going to hurt you in some way. Like again with coaching, sometimes we overcoach it.
Yes, that's the other point. Like, I've. When you're a smart guy, I think I'm a pretty smart guy. When you're smart, sometimes you overthink it. Like you think I could do this and I could do that, and sometimes you just have to be like, yes, but we're not there yet. Like we gotta, do
like we're
these
gonna
things.
get there, but we
We're
got to
gonna
do
get there,
this
but if we
before.
put this in.
Well, it
before
goes
they
back
do
to
it.
your whole, like, you got to build a foundation and you got to work towards it, and you can't just drop it all in one shot, right? Like, it's got to be, and that's where structure comes in, and all that to kind of, all right, we're going to do this because in the future this is where we're trying to get to, right? Like, and that's hard because with this now era of everything's got to happen now, guys are like, it's hard to get that point across, like to build something for the long term.
Very hard. And this is where, and then he also talks about, he said, this is where he was a very good sprinter, but he wasn't like, his training partner was the guy who like won the Olympics, I think, at the time. But he must have been really good. He must have been low 10s or something.
Right.
But he wasn't, he wasn't. And he said one of the things that guys who are really elite sprinters struggle with when they go to coach, he said the same thing with really elite athletes when they struggle with when they go to coach, like really elite. He said there is a lot to being a really good athlete, meaning you do know what it feels like. You do know, like, so I don't hate on guys that are slow teaching speed. I don't hate on it, but I do think it might take longer for them to understand what it feels like to run fast.
Right.
Okay. So knowing, like, and so when you know a little bit, like you say you're not fast, but you're fast. You didn't track sprint. You know what I'm saying? So it's
right.
kind of a different thing. Like you still ran.
Well,
really
you get
fast.
like, I feel like you get a little bit
know
of
what
a
it
taste
feels
of
like
it.
to move
Correct.
fast.
Right. But you don't know what it's like to like ultimately like dominate it or be the guy. You know what I'm saying? Like that.
But I don't think,
one,
yeah,
like,
and that's what I don't think you have. I think you need to know what another gear is, and those, but you don't have to know what it is to dominate, right? So, but you need to know somewhat what it feels like, right? In order to be able to understand it, like, and so one of the things he talks about, what I thought was really interesting, and applies to sports. I just don't always think about it in sprint. I think sprinting's so easy in a sense that you're running, right? Everyone understands what running is, right? So, like when you start to then take the pieces of that and relate it to sport, which can be more complicated, it applies. But what I think was really important is like one of the things that the best athletes have a hard time with is they know what it feels like to do all of these things.
Mm-hmm.
And sometimes when they go to teach it, they're like
there's a disconnect.
No, you just do it. Like you just disassociate your body and you change direction. Like
I agree.
you just and you're teaching a guy to disassociate his body and he can't even move laterally yet. Like, you know what I'm saying? He
100%.
can't even step. And so one of the things that's always hard is when you are that elite, I actually think that you can become an elite coach, but you also need to have a guy with you that was not elite, who also was a good coach to help you.
That guy can kind of fill in the blanks. Yeah.
Can guide you.
I thought that was one of the most difficult.
Do this yet. You know what I mean?
I think that was one of the most difficult parts of transitioning from player to coach was understanding like why this guy can't do what I did, even more so because I wasn't the elite athlete, right? Like I wasn't the burner. I wasn't the biggest guy. Though. But it was just different in understanding. Like,
yes.
Look, if I was able to do this at this level and be successful, like, why can't you do this at a lower level and you're better than me, right? Like that was really hard part of coaching to kind of understand. Like I'll live it to like for me, kickoff was always really easy. You run down there and you make the tackle. Period. Right? Like
go by people or go through them and make the tackle.
Like go tackle the guy with the brown thing. Like that's defense, right? Like, but like, why can't you do that? Like, or the ball's in the air. Why can't you go pick it off? Like, why don't you just get over there and get it? You know what I mean? Like, it was almost like you think it's that simple when like, because you did it. But like for other guys, like you're asking them to do something that's like, you know what I mean? Like, and that was really hard to get that, piece of the coaching of, to learn how to do that, to kind of, to teach it, to explain it, all these things. But look, I still resort at the end of the day, like this sport's really simple, right? Like you catch the brown thing, you tackle the guy with the brown thing. Like that's really what it comes down to. All the other stuff is just like adding to your processing of slowing you down almost. Like
you have
just go
to,
do it.
You have
You
to
know,
teach
like-
people how to do that. Get to the
Right.
ball, go
Right.
through holes, catch the ball, push
Right.
the other person, right?
Yep.
That's the first thing. Like those are the first things. Like fundamentally, yes, when you yell catch the ball at somebody and they drop
Right.
it,
Guy drops it. Like everybody knows he's trying to catch
Right.
it, dude. Like that guy is
you have
already
to
like,
be able
I
to
know.
show them a cue.
Correct.
But one of the things that like Stu McMillan talks about, and a couple other someone else talked about this too. I can't remember, but like you have to know what cues work, and then you have to throw out cues that don't work. Like that's the other thing that guys do that drives
They
me
continue
nuts.
to hammer down on
They
stuff that guys
hammer
just don't get.
down on something. It's
They
dude.
double down on something
It
that's already
happens
not
to
working.
me, and I'm just
We
like,
do it.
right when I do it, then I just throw it away. See, like that's
Like,
the
all
thing.
right,
that,
yeah, because if it's out of sight, out of mind, like now I'm not
I
working.
throw
You know
it
what I mean?
away. I'd rather
If it's
throw
still
it
there,
away.
I'll always try because we're competitors and we don't ever want something to like not work, right? Like
Throw
so
it
we'll
away.
double down on it and we'll push it until the last, you know what I mean? Like to the utmost, and then it's like, all right. Because we never want to like just throw it out. But I think
People
that's
laugh
something
'cause
like
I'll say something.
for you personally, I think you're different in that, like because
Yeah.
I've seen you take what your business was and working and then have it not work and not stick with it and hammer it into the ground where you bury yourself. You're just fuck it, doesn't work. Like what's the next thing, right? Like I just think
always
that's
look at
something
everything like
different.
I could always go back. Like I've been broke. I grew up broke. I know what that feels like. It does. I don't fear it. Like I don't fear it the way that
Gary
other
V
people-
talks about that.
Who does?
Gary
Oh,
V.
Yeah, he drives.
Like
me
he
nuts.
talks about
But
because
I get it. Yeah,
like I came up in the certain type of, you know what I mean?
I know what it feels like. It's not
I
the
know
end of
that
the
world.
Yeah,
Right.
like I would say,
I
like,
survived
people are like,
that.
what would you do? I'm like, I'll go find a place that's the cheapest to live. I don't care. I'll go live there and start over. Like that's how I think about everything. You know what I mean?
Yep. Same for
But
me.
when I have it, sure, I'll do more. You know, when I don't
Absolutely.
have it, I'll do less. But it's and then from a coaching standpoint, I look at it almost the same way. Like I want to do this play, like this will be great. And then I watch them do it, and I'm like, this is terrible. And the coaches are like, obviously I have volunteer assistants with youth, and I'm like, all right, that sucked. We're not doing that. And they just laugh. They're like, we just spent 10 minutes on it. I'm like, who cares?
Yeah, it doesn't matter. Yeah, we're good.
They're like, oh. I'm like, yeah. I'm like, you know what? Like, sometimes you have an idea. It seems great on paper.
Oh, absolutely.
It sounds great. You watch someone else execute it, and you're like, that looks beautiful. And then you just can't either teach it, they can't do it, whatever it is, it doesn't matter. And you just kind of have to just deal with it. And, people always, when I was young and I was super handsome, I could approach life a certain way. As I get gray hair and
Different.
I'm not quite as handsome as I once was, I have to approach life a different way. Like that's the way that I look at. Like I don't know. Like most beautiful people, right? Like when you look at models or something like that, like the people we would consider, beautiful, or like an actor that people think are handsome or something. They don't know how to handle anything that isn't associated with what made them who they are, right? It's just like athletes who can't get away from being an athlete, right?
Yep.
It's I'm a great looking person. Wait a minute. You don't think I'm a great look? Everybody gets old, man. That's just how it is. Like
Life.
Like I look at pictures of you, and you probably do too. Your dad or my dad when they were young, and I'm like, wow. And then I see my dad walking around at 85 years old, and I'm like, that's probably gonna be me one day, right? And I'm like, and so, but you know what? It doesn't change the fact that he still strives. Like my father goes and works out at 11 p.m. every night. I don't know why he does it that late, by the way, till 2 a.m. every single night. He does the same process. Okay. Now, when his wife was alive, that process was pushed in a different avenue. He would wake up earlier. Now he doesn't. His wife is no longer alive. He sleeps a little later. He goes to practice. He works out at 11 p.m. But I know, like if I call him at 9, he's eating dinner now. Like Me, I mean, I'm doing a completely different thing, but he's eating dinner. If I call him at 11, I know I'm only going to talk to him for 5-10 minutes because he's about to work out. And as soon as he goes down to his little workout thing he has,
That's crazy.
he
That's
ain't
awesome.
coming up.
It's just so cool though.
Yeah, it is. Like, but it teaches you, like, you know what? No matter what stage in life you are in, you have to adjust to where you are. Not that you don't have future goals. Everybody has future. My father has future goals at 85.
Yep.
Like, he's like,
but I think that's
like,
also what keeps him young and keeps him do it. You know what I mean? Is a structure, but also like, you know, he's got something in that, like looking at it. You know what I mean? So that's important.
There's no doubt about it. And I think that's uber important. And it changes your perspective on how you approach things. And I think it helps you when you coach, you know, and coaching, it can be frustrating. It can be rewarding. It could be, it's everything, right? So
absolutely,
you got to be able to do that.
Highs and lows and all that. It's literally everything.
And parents, as they like go through the process, you know, to me, you got to try and enjoy some of it too.
Yeah.
Like, as you're driving them to these things, as you're working them hard,
or you'll lose your mind.
Yeah. Like, enjoy a moment. Like, you know, like your kids remember when you get upset with them. It's like I think I could tell you, we've probably had 5 or 6 bad drives home if something happened on a workout or practice or whatever, you know, or game.
Mm-hmm.
My kid will automatically assume that every drive is bad. This is an important thing for parents to understand. So one day he said to me, I don't know, it happened to be like he acted up a little bit in practice or something. And I was just, you know, it just bothered me, right? I'm not the head coach. It's not that nobody else probably noticed it, okay? But I did. Like, I saw what he was doing, okay? I saw his reactions to things. I saw it. And I'm like, what do you do? Like, I'm, you know, in practice, I'm trying to correct it without making a scene. But I'm like, what are you doing, dude? Like, I'm like, do you not want to be here today? Is this, you know, what's going on? I'm assist. But I don't think the head coach even noticed it, you know, or maybe he did.
You did.
Maybe he did and just thought he's a little off. You know, he's off today, right? Because if it's not, but as my own kid, I'm noticing it. You know what I'm saying? Like, I'm like steaming. And I get in the car and I'm like, dude, like, your behavior, like you're doing things that, you know, I get it. Maybe something is frustrating, whatever it is, you know, you can't do that. Right. Whatever was bothering him that day. And he said to me, he goes, why does every ride have to be frustrating home? Right. I said, okay. After I got it off my chest, and I said, okay, let's talk about this. Let's discuss this. After I was annoyed, then I calmed down. He calmed down. I said, all right, let's discuss this. I said, was the other day, was that a bad ride home? No. Was that a bad ride home this day? No. Was the day back from the game a bad ride home?
Right.
No. Was this
well,
bad?
Look, maybe not everyone is bad.
Right. So not every ride home is bad. I am going to correct you if I think, I don't care. I really don't like. I don't care if you miss shots. I don't care. I care if you don't give effort. I care if you're being disrespectful. Okay. Yeah, I could correct you on the shots, but I said, let's have perspective. And I said, you know what? I'll try and fix me getting annoyed with you when I see something that bothers me and not make it as much of a dramatic thing, because obviously you're viewing 1 out of 10 as 9 out of 10. So I'll fix that part. You cannot give bad effort, and you cannot be a jerk off. You know, I mean,
well, I feel like kids also live in the extremes nowadays.
Absolutely.
Like, there's no middle ground. It's either all great or all shit. And it's like,
well, you have to understand
there's levels of this, you know,
you have to understand that your kid probably views the 1 out of 10, even if it's 1 out of 20. Okay.
That one becomes
the main one. That's what it always is. So I was like, you know what? You gotta
say something. I gotta correct this. I gotta make him aware of this. Absolutely.
But I also have to have a different way of doing it, because I gotta have a different way of doing it, because I don't want him to think, you know, I'm in a shitty mood. I don't feel like going to practice that day, but this coach has practice. And now dad's going to yell at me because I was acting like a shipper. You know what I mean? Like, so I have to have a different way of approaching that and understand that maybe today he probably didn't feel like going there. He probably was
It all
annoyed.
just snowballs.
It snowballed, and he probably, my guess is he's probably tired. I don't remember what it was. We did a workout before or something.
There's just a lot of stuff that's also like that's on their plates that we don't really know. You know what I mean? Like, it's just, you don't know it's why
yes,
like
Valentine's Day was a big deal with the 5th grade. I couldn't believe it. I had to shut this thing down because I'm like, hey, dude, like, I didn't realize it. I'm like, dude, you don't need to have a girl, okay? Like, so we had to go through this whole thing with him on this, like, because some kid was dating and then some girl liked him. He liked some girl, whatever it was. I said, you don't have to have dude, I don't care if you don't have a Valentine at 16, okay? I don't like.
But because in that comparison world, that's what I'm saying, right? Like, everything in that world is an acceptance or be a part of the group or do what everybody else is doing, because that was different, that threw him for a loop, right? And that's that ultimate look, school is so much of that, especially middle school, high school, that 6th, 7th, 8th, freshman year. Look, you hope that after freshman year, guys and girls, like, it's kind of just like, you know what I do, and that's it. But that's not the case, dude. Sometimes that escalate senior year, like, you're always trying to sit at the cool table, and that's really hard when you're talking about, look, guys that just like do things different than others because they view things different or they have different goals. Like, it's tough because the acceptance thing at that level is so
they're drones.
Big.
The drone, I call
it's why I will forever preach that teaching 7th and 8th grade is the hardest grades to teach, because you're dealing with so much of that the other shit doesn't even matter, dude, right? Like, they're physically changing. They don't like understand that, but then they're getting these feelings that are totally natural, but for a lot of times it's an uncomfortable conversation. So parents don't either have it or they just kind of brush it away. They just don't allow the kid to get a full understanding of what they're feeling is normal, and the desire to want to be a part of something and do what everybody else is doing and fit in and all. That's all normal shit, but you can still, like, the world is this. And I think that communication, that openness, like, it's really difficult because a lot of times parents are uncomfortable doing it and they don't want to talk about it, so it's really a hard age, dude. Like, no matter what. Anyway,
like, listen, you have friends, okay, that you like, all right, but you want to know, you're going to be friendly with a lot of people. You want to be kind to people, those kind of things. You also want to know who has your back, right? So when somebody says something or someone razzes you or sells you out, and even if they're friends with you, just take a look who's laughing at you and pay attention to it. You don't have to say nothing.
No, just keep receipts. You know what I'm saying? Keep receipts. Comes
your support aid in that situation.
Right.
And know that it's not always going to be the person you think. It's because what happens is you might be popular. You think people are your friends, and they are kind of your friends. They're kids figuring it out. They're kids. They're figuring it out too. But the kid who comes over to you and says, hey, man, I understand. Like, hey, even if that person doesn't hang out with you all the time, you should know that that's a good person, right? And so even if they may not be in your cool crowd or whatever, you need to know that, because that's important for you, because there's going to be people that you're going to need like that in your life that are kind of ironclad, and that could be a girl or a guy, right? And because boys are going to be boys.
You just need someone in your corner, and you need to know who's real and who's not. And there's a lot of pretenders out there. And believe me, like, and you get it. The older you get, you know, the easier it is to kind of just say, you know what, like these people aren't, because right now your friends are your friends are your world, right? In middle school, high school, and that's really all that matters is the next thing that we're doing together. But I'm telling you, like after that first semester of college, like you ain't going to talk to half of them. You know what I'm saying? Or that you start to develop true friendships.
Like,
and it is
a club, going to a trainer, like everybody
separates everybody because everybody's doing their own thing, right? And the ones like, you know, I always said this, like just because you talk to somebody every day or it's whatever, like some of the relationships, you may not talk to that person in months, but when you get to talk to them or you get together, like it's like nothing ever, like you're right back to it. Those are the ones that want to be, you know what I mean? That are, they're not there for any reason or anything. They're not trying to gain something by being a part of your life, right? Like they're just baggage. They're just there. It's what it is. Like, and you develop that more later in life because you see it. You go through them. You have people that are in your life for a reason, and then once that reason's out, you don't talk to them again, or you know what I mean. Like they're more of acquaintances. Okay with that, and that's okay. Yes, the letting go of it, of like, hey man, like they weren't who I thought they were, and that sucks, right? Because
or they, you know, like God says in the Bible, it's like you. There are people that are in your life for a day, for a week, for a month, for a year, for a lifetime, right? And you got to embrace when you have those people in your life for those time periods. What happens to a lot of people, adults especially, they hold grudges against something that happens in the past that didn't work their way, instead of saying, hey, the vast majority of that was good. This part here might have been bad, okay?
Right.
But the vast majority of it is good, and then it was just time for everybody to move on, right? It's
part of it.
Dude, like, I mean, listen, there's no doubt there are certain parts of my life and things I did in business that I was like, man, if I could have rode that all the way. But you know what? You couldn't ride what I was doing and have a family. You just couldn't. Like you couldn't do it.
You got to pivot. You got to change.
I had more girlfriends break up with me and get annoyed with me.
Right, because you weren't your time was going elsewhere. Yeah.
You know, so like you could not do that and really legitimately. And then even if you did have a family and
then that's why I get so excited when you see guys like Coach Brian White we had on yesterday who are able to do it at a high level and still maintain whatever that whole like
that's hard.
Like that shit's, and have hobbies like.
I think he, you know what he does a great job of? Compartmentizing things.
This is this world. This is this world. This is this world. And you know what? I'm going to pull this off the shelf and we're going to do this right now. We're going to pull this off the shelf and we're going to do this right now. But this goes back on the shelf while I'm doing this. You know what I mean? Like, I think a lot, and look, there's so many ways to do things. He's just been able, it's so individualized, right? Like everything. People believe that everything needs to be cookie cutter. Just because somebody was successful doing it this way doesn't mean that you can't be successful in the same world, but you may have to do it a little different. Everybody just thinks that, oh, they did it this way, that's how it has to be done. That's not the case anymore. You know what I mean? Like, just look at like the job world. You don't have to go to an office 9 to 5, Monday through Friday in order to be successful. Like, it just doesn't work like that anymore. You know, like there are ways to do it.
I would say the three greatest sprinters of like that people know of all time are Jesse Owens, Carl Lewis, and Usain Bolt, right?
Michael Johnson.
Oh, Michael Johnson was a 200, 400 guy. I'm talking 100 meters.
Just love that guy because of his gold shoes. That's all I remember about the Atlanta games. That's all I remember.
I went to the Atlanta. I watched him run to Atlanta. I actually went to it. It was great.
Shit, man.
He was my
obviously you survived the bomb.
I came down there. My sister was there already. I came down.
It's crazy.
The next day. I think it was the next day because we went to watch track and field. Did we go watch gymnastics? We went to watch something else, but we went to track and field definitely. And like Carl Lewis, Jesse Owens, and Usain Bolt. If you watch their running form, okay. They were the best in each one of their times, and each one of their running forms is slightly different. Okay, there's differences to the way that they run. Carl Lewis, you would argue, is almost stiff in his style of running, right? Usain Bolt, they call it now the spinal engine. He has this full spinal engine usage in order to run the way he runs. So, and I don't know, 20 years, maybe there's someone else that's great. And so just like receivers come in all shapes and sizes, running backs come in all shapes and sizes. What makes one great is unique to their specific body and skill set. And it's very hard to be able to replicate what someone else's body is unless you are almost the same exact body type, right?
Because everybody's different.
Everybody's different. So you have to find the group that works with what you are. And, some of the groups are
you yourself can tweak and change. And that's like what keeps life it's not boring. You know what I mean? Like,
yes.
If we still did the same shit we did the whole time, like one for me, I'd be dead, but that's a different conversation. You know what I'm saying? But like, if you always do the same shit, if I continued to coach the way I used to coach, or just be the person I used to be, like, that's what makes life exciting, is you get your eyes open to different things, new things. Let me try this. Let me do that. Like, some of it works, some of it doesn't, but that's what keeps it, fresh. Like, otherwise it's stale, it's boring, it just don't work. And then before you know it, it's like, what are we doing?
Right. And football, the wide receiver position. Okay. Randy Moss could probably do it all, so to speak. Right. But he was but he was known for being a stretch guy. Jerry Rice was known for being an underneath guy, or a slant guy, a short route guy. Not that he didn't go vertical, he did, but that's what he was more known for, like catching quick routes, right? Everybody has a certain skill set, and you have to be able to leverage your skill set and do really well at. Try to fix some of the things that aren't you're good at, but really
master what you're good at.
But master what you're good at.
Stop trying to be something you're not because you're comparing yourself to others. Just do what you do.
Derrick Henry can't be Barry Sanders.
Take what God gave
Imagine
you and
him trying to be Barry
it.
Sanders. I mean,
Dave, we talk about this all the time. I talk about it all the time. My head coach talks about it all the time. I think it's one of the best things that, like, from a program perspective, that we try to do, and we push each of our kids to just be good at what they're good at. Right. So I don't care if you're the same year, same position, and that guy benches 225 and you only bench 185. But dude, where did you start? Right? Like, he benches 225, but he started at 205. You bench 185, but you could barely do the bar. Right? Like, like those gains and those things of, like, you know what I mean? Like,
and what's
focus on that
position. So,
right. Do you need to bench 225, or what are we talking about? Right? Like, I got to run I need to high school thing.
As strong as you can be, but you don't need to be as strong as him.
The biggest high school thing, Dave, right, is, I want to weigh this. Like, dude, oh my God. Like, I got to be 185 by next year. I got to be 205. Why? Because some idiot, right, told him, this guy's
I was an idiot like that in high school.
Dude. Like,
my dad told me you don't need to be 215 pounds to be a great running back. Like, stay at 200.
But in your head, that's what
I
was
like.
Right?
I gotta be Bo Jackson. I thought I had to be Bo Jackson.
Derek, you have to run faster. You have to be faster. You have to be faster. You have to be faster. Right? Like, we can't really work on the height, but you got to be faster. And I'm like, you know what? Like, what are we doing? Like,
did you see the thing on Bo Jackson? So Bo Jackson, there's always interviews he was going around doing, I guess, Super Bowl week. And
I love these guys. They all come back out in that Super Bowl week. Because I've heard that Radio Row is just insane, of just like whatever it is, just like guys talking, and just the amount of, like, I don't know, just guys. The Super Bowl is fucking insane, dude. Like, it's one of those things, like, I would love to go and just be there for the week and just take it all in. You know what I mean? Of just, like, all the shit that goes on outside of the actual game. You know what I mean? It's unlike anything else. The national championship's not like that. You know what I mean? Like, the Stanley Cup finals, basketball, baseball, because those are series based, right? Like, there's a multiple amount of games. Like, dude, even the FIFA World Cup final isn't like a whole week of sitting in one spot.
Probably is the closest.
But I think that's others, like, because you're just here for this amount of time. Like, I can't imagine what it's like to be Roger Goodell that week and like all of the things that guy has to.
Well, I guess he's got guys for that. But
NFL in itself, it's freaking crazy. But
it's amazing. But Bo talked about how
he's big into cycling now, I think, right?
He said he didn't even lift.
Well, like Herschel Walker, dude. Like those guys did push-ups and sit-ups.
Push-ups, sit-ups, pull-ups, like
all body
weighted stuff. You know what I mean? Like, let me put this on my back and see if I could do it. Let me. Now listen,
that used to ultimately be our of course, right? But like that used to be a little bit of it too. Like you'd go out with your buddies and you'd be like in the woods and you'd be like, "Hey, dude, like you think you can take this fucking rock and take it over here? Or hey, you think I could land on my feet if I do this shit? You know what I mean? Like, yeah. Hey, you think I could climb this tree? Like, you think I can hold my breath swimming across this? Like, yeah, some of this stuff was really stupid. But you know what? That's part of like what it was. That's what hey, dude, it just rained for 3 days. You think we can get across this river that like the Colorado Rapids here? Like, let's try it. Cool. Like, dumb shit, right? Or you just did it. Like, I remember walking in the snow so far, like your legs were killing you the next day and you didn't even realize like, oh shit, I just walked like fucking 5 miles in the snow.
That's a workout.
Right. Like my guys, like they say, oh coach, the weight room's not open today, we're not in school. Go shovel your driveway, dude.
That's a workout.
Like, why do you think like some of these
1,000 cleans,
Dave, these like
what day?
The farm boy strength, like, yeah, that's real deal, dude. They're throwing bales of hay. It's why I tell guys like an easy way to stay in shape, in a different shape, is that job you have for 2, 3, maybe a month in the summer, make it a physical job, right? Like go carry bags of cement for a mason or move cinder blocks. Like you're working out without working out. And it's something different. Like you don't even realize it. You know what I mean? Like I always thought that was such a cool, like even like
your hands will get stronger too.
Like I was always in the best shape of my life when I had a job like that. Like I worked at a liquor store. Like, dude, I've moved boxes of alcohol that were heavy as shit all day for hours on end. And you did UPS, you're throwing around boxes that weigh a certain amount of weight. Like there's a physical job to it. Mike Smith talks about it. Like he would come home from school and he would work for a roofer, right? So he was carrying shingles and all this stuff up ladders onto whatever, like best shape of our lives. Like it's like a distraction type of thing too. It's that different type of strength that adds to it where you're not sitting in a thing. Look, it's like Rocky IV, right?
Yep.
Drago's got all the technology doing this on this machine or whatever. And Rocky's in the middle of the woods, freaking ripping, logs, throwing, you know what I mean? Like
they're both training. They're accomplishing basically the same thing, but
different methods. 100%. Did you see Tony Rio, the head coach of Yale, stepping down for health reasons? So here he's got dementia.
Shut up.
Yeah, it's brutal. Just came out today. Sucks.
Oh my! He was like actually a candidate for the UConn job.
I saw that. UConn receivers coach just got a big gig going to Penn State. The guy that left with Mora to go to Colorado State.
Kashif
young kid,
younger
kid.
Played
at UConn. Is now
played in the pros. Played at UConn.
Penn State wide receivers coach now, named yesterday. I think it happened.
Yeah, Kashif Moore is like a fast riser,
right? He's like 30 under 30 or whatever the shit.
Yeah, he played with. I don't know if he played with. He's like, I want to say
they just released their schedule today at UConn. Like their formal schedule.
I think their schedule is much tougher this year.
Well, they open up with Lafayette.
Oh well, that's not tough.
But everybody has that first one, dude. I guess at least they're not playing Sacred Heart or something.
Did they ever play Sacred Heart or no?
I don't know. That would have been. I think that was like kind of a thing that our coaches always try to push. Like that would be our money game to start. Like let's go.
Yeah, because you get paid.
Let's go get smoked by UConn, but at least it's like an in-state rivalry. Because look, Yale sure as shit wasn't going to play us. Fairfield had just folded their program, right? We weren't going to go down and play like Southern Connecticut or whatever. So, Shu was kind of just like set in that like weird world of okay, I guess we'll go play like Massachusetts teams. I mean, JV schedule, it was awesome. We played Brown. We played Holy Cross. Like, dude, that was the best. I'm telling you, that year I did there was so much fun playing specials on like Saturday, games, and then Sunday, a JV game, like less than 24 hours and you're playing 2 football games, dude. It was so,
they should bring back the
dude,
G.
that shit was so cool, dude. Like, you barely got home from your game on Saturday, especially if it was an away game. You get back, it's like, what, 10, 11 o'clock at night? You got to be back at the facility for 7 o'clock because the bus is leaving at 8 to go up to Holy Cross to play a JV game that these guys were pissed they had to do. I'm like, are you guys kidding me, dude? Like, we get to play. Like, this is fucking sick.
Right. We're
like,
actually going to play a game.
I'm like, we're actually going to play a game, dude. Like, and that's for someone like I got to play specials. Like, you dudes were in your walking suits because you didn't even travel. Like, so you sat home on Saturday drinking beers and I'm the one that should be tired. Like, I actually played yesterday and now we get to go play a game. And like, what are you talking about? They'd be like, hey, you got to be on kickoff. Like, wait, I don't want to do that. I'm like, dude, what are you talking about? Like, you don't want to be in the game. Like, we actually get to play now and you want to sit on the sideline. Like, dude, I'll never understand. Look, it goes back to what we just talked about. Like, why guys don't want to do things or like, you know what I mean? Like, I know it's different because we're older. Like, but I always try and tell those kids, like, man, high school goes really fast. And like, I know you hate having to do this right now, but you're going to miss this part. And yes, does it suck? Yeah, but you miss this. Like, you're going to miss all of this stuff because like just being able to play this sport, you don't get to do it again, dude. You can't go pick up and be in a men's basketball league or a men's softball league. Like, football ends. Like, you don't get to do it, bro.
Your window of time is very, very
so
limited.
Small. Oh, Coach Joffrey just hit me up. He must be listening. He says Shoe played UConn in 2023 and lost 31-3.
You mean
Sacred Heart? Sorry.
They call it Shoe, Sacred Heart.
Yeah.
Okay.
SHU.
And they played UConn and when?
In 2023 and lost 31-30.
31-30.
Shit.
That must have been a bad UConn team.
That's what I was going to say. Only 31 points. Goddamn. Coach Joffrey's the man.
31-30. UConn must have been bad that year. 2020. Oh, that was Etzel's last year, I think.
So it was a total shit show.
Oh, it was a shit show.
That's when probably Coach Joffrey took all the shit because he was the freaking thrown into.
Was he with Etzel?
He was Etzel's O-line guy, and Coach Joffrey is great, right? Like, I have more confidence in him to be a head coach and be a really high level head coach, like anywhere he is, because he relates to players, he understands the game itself, but he just loves being an O-line coach, right? Like that. The stuff that goes into it, the X's and the O's and all, just the O-line play itself is like where he thrives and what he really, really wants to do. And Etzel, being Etzel, kind of was like, hey, you're going to be the OC. Like, okay, so now you're thrown into a role. And it's also like, all right, for a guy like him who's like, all right, I'm in this role, I'm going to dominate it, right? But then you're being told you're running this, you're doing that, you can't do this, you can't go get these guys. Like, having those parameters put on it. Imagine being you're trying to be an OC with and you're handcuffed, dude. Like, ridiculous. He said no. Mora was there. Probably his first year.
Mora's first year.
That first year.
Oh, he must. I wonder if that year was rough. No, I don't think they were that bad actually. Jim Mora's first year.
I always thought, dude, because that was when UConn was just transitioning to D1 from like where I was. I was like, oh, I might have a shot to go play D1.
That's right.
I was like, maybe I can go to UConn and catch them on the tail end of a 1AA program going to.
That's what some kids did. There were some kids that, yeah.
Yo, did you just see this?
Freshman when I was a senior. That class was ended up being all Division I kids.
How about this? So, one of the best DBs in FCS, South Dakota, right? Did you see this move? Kid just left. He leaves South Dakota, goes with his coach, who's now the DC at Rutgers, and he's at Rutgers. Followed his coach. And that guy's probably like, look, I need a DB. I need the best DB. Come be the safety at Rutgers. Here's your opportunity to play Big Ten ball. Let's go. So here you are. That's what you're going to see now.
Because they go with their coordinator.
Yep. And that guy's like, this is now, I'm sure it's difficult going into that building being like, oh, you're the fucking, it's your guy and blah, blah, blah. You're playing because your coach took you here, blah, blah. Okay, bro, I don't give a shit, but guess what? Like, I'm better than you. Like, like the guy led FCS in interceptions, for Christ's sakes. Here we go. Well, now, can he handle being in Jersey as a South Dakota person? Who the hell knows?
But that's what Indiana did. So,
dude, whatever. I just always think, like I've said this numerous times, Greg Schiano's a defensive coach. He's the head coach. Now you're going to go be his DC. I think that's really hard. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's why you've seen a lot of his DCs bounce after a year or two, right? And move on. I don't know if that's a direct correlation. This is me just talking about it. Like,
right.
It's always been difficult, even as a coach in high school. Like, whatever side of the ball your head coach leans to and then on top of it, double down. If that's your position guy, buddy, you better have you better know what the shit, you better be on top of your shit, I mean, look, Fran Brown, the guy that went to, he bounced, right? The guy that's at Harvard, he was there for a little while, right? The guy that's at UMass, he was there for a little while, right? Like all these guys, I mean, yeah, I get it. They go take jobs, but come on,
I think that's,
I don't know. I think it's really hard to do.
It is hard to do. I mean,
like being at Bosco with Toll, like he was a D-line guy. Like poor Frank Dawson, buddy. Like I know you're running Indy, but when it comes to D-line shit, like Toll's gonna hover over there.
Frank Dawson's a man. I see pictures
best,
of him reffing games. He's
still doing wrestling and shit. He's the man, dude. And he's so prideful in playing at William and Mary. I love it. I just didn't realize how much of like a legacy person he was. Like his old man was the man in Garfield.
Oh yeah. He was when I was a kid. He was the AD at Garfield. Gigantic guy, by the way,
dude. Dawson is a monster. I mean, he played frickin' tackle at William and Mary, but dude, he is a monster.
His father was 6'6". His father was gigantic. Like that's how, I mean, honestly, that's how a lot of these were intimidating, towering humans.
Well, listen, I still think that optics matter, and I think certain guys get hired in positions based off of what it is. Like I'll never forget a story about Matt Sakis, who's not 6 foot or whatever. Like he didn't get hired at Morristown High School because they didn't think he could relate to the players on the team being in that stature. Right? Like, because he was just a smaller type of dude. Like, how are you going to relate to our big linemen? 100%, like straight up. Like, I always thought that was a big thing. I think it's why, and he's the first that always says stuff like, like, hey man, it's why DV and receiver coaches get hired a lot more. They're better looking. You know what I mean? Like, just plain and simple. Like, I mean, I understand you still have to, back it all up with that. But I mean, when it comes down to optics and things like that could add to it. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I think that always, and there's no doubt in college that's.
Oh, fuck, dude. Yeah.
I mean,
like, look, how many of the Manginos do you see in the world anymore? Or the Charlie Weisses? Romeo Cornells? Like, you guys are in shape, bro. Like, it's.
I think they
say what you want. Rex Ryan's, like Rob Ryan, right? Like, I remember Rob Ryan. There was, stuff out there that like, because he wouldn't cut his hair to be a head coach, like he didn't get jobs. Like the NFL where you have to have like, oh, you're the head coach. You have to be this.
Yeah.
Well.
Do we have anything tomorrow?
Tomorrow, yeah. We have Chris Haddon, who's a Massachusetts guy. Be awesome to talk to him. He does a lot of like, he's a coach on top of like, development and all that kind of stuff with like a lot of more of the, like, I want to say like middle school range type thing. He has, I think it's Victory Sports, but be cool to talk to him.
Good.
All right, man.
All right, man. We will see you all.
300 episodes, buddy.
That's amazing.
It's a lot of shit. That's a lot, like,
I started posting a lot of it because most of our episodes are evergreen. Like it's really the time is not related, kind of to which is great, by the way. That you know what I mean. Like these are topics that that might be addressed 10 years from now. You know what I mean?
Yeah. They're not really so like time specific. Like we're not talking about like the move that happened yesterday in the NFL. You know what I mean?
right? Because my other stuff is, like
Yeah, like your like
Bloodlines is not actually
Bloodlines isn't, but like the which you obviously have a new one in the news now to hit up, like
the
with
political
what's her name's
show
mom
is
or whatever. Yeah, the political is
shows
like that. The
are-
Husky stuff kind of is. The Husky stuff is kind of like in the now.
It's all in the
Right.
now. It's all. I mean, there might be topics but this is evergreen, meaning 20 years from now, you could pull up the YouTube channel and get value from one of these episodes.
No doubt.
You could pull up. I'm seeing it happen as I started posting more on the Spotify.
Right. Well, Spotify has comments now too.
Oh, they do.
Yeah.
So Spotify, I'm trying to upload more like these to Spotify because so what's happened is, and maybe this is part of it, maybe the Spotify change. A lot of these episodes now, out of nowhere, meaning the last like 3 weeks, they're among my top viewed podcasts because, and it's not the new episodes, okay? It's
No. It's the stuff that we've talked about
because it's evergreen, dude. It like you find a topic you like, it's something you're interested in, you go watch that episode. So
or one leads to another, or you know what I mean. Like now your algorithm is this, so it's going to be whatever it taught.
Like the Liam Anderson,
it is.
both Liam Anderson episodes.
Liam was the first episode we ever did.
The 3 episodes of Liam are still getting a lot of views. Marion Bell, Tariq Holman, Andrew Jackson. Episode.
And Jackson's now he just got the D-line job at Tennessee.
That's awesome.
Yep. And Holman just got the head job for Hudson Catholic.
Right, that I knew.
After winning a ring, believe me, this ring for St. Joe's, buddy. I saw it 2 Fridays ago. Holy shit! I'm like, must be nice. Oh, I never seen anything like it in my life. Like
for high school, you mean?
Right. And that's coach. And look, and Coach Mick makes it a point to send you his rings every time he gets a new one, right? Like that guy's got I mean, holy shit, his box of rings is ridiculous. I think it's 10 now, right? But yeah, and obviously Tariq and I are tight, and he's a really good dude, and I'm trying to get him on too because that's a really the way he's going to approach Hudson Catholic and for what they're going to help him do. It's, look, and he's a good coach. Yeah. He's been at a lot of places and whatnot, but sometimes that stuff is what it is, but it's, dude, it's going to be a thing, cause he can tap into some Jersey City. He can tap into some busing that's going to help him at certain places. And, it'd be interesting to see what happens with the Immaculata stuff too. They just hired the OC that was there or was with the guy that's in there now at Somerville. So he's bringing back his whole crew. I think he was most recently the OC at William Patterson. So we'll see how that works, right? Because they're going to change from Coach Colombo's, single wing and this type of offense here to wide open spread, exciting, and what everybody wants to play in and all this other kind of stuff. So
what's so crazy about that whole thing? He was talking about how, he talked a lot about how he really got screwed, but he talked about how he does things and everything like that, and it's crazy because I was thinking of that episode a lot when it ended up happening because I was thinking wow, basically the fact that he approaches it like we're gonna do what we do. In the end, these guys in the Catholic school wanted more, even though he's winning 9 games. They wanted they wanted more, and
it's crazy.
It's one of those things that they would use. My guess is they would use that again, like his philosophy.
100%. Hey, because you do this, we can't get these guys in here, or these guys. I'm sorry.
I was thinking
not that. It's these guys won't come here.
I was thinking a little bit during my episode that this is. I didn't expect it. I didn't expect like a couple weeks later that guys were. I mean, they may have already been. It already is probably in the works for 6 months.
100%. Oh my god! Because Dave, they shut the weight room down for renovations the day after they let them go, which tells you they've had guys in there planning for months. Like, how many meetings did this poor guy have to sit in to talk about, all right, we're going to have an open house this night, or we're going to need you to do this, or we're going to, the school this, or all this stuff. And meanwhile, like, all of this stuff is going on back in the.
He had to know that something was going on.
Oh, no. Sure as hell didn't act like it.
Oh, really? Well, I mean, our episode was before, but like
2 weeks. It might have been the week.
When he thinks about back, he probably saw.
Oh, now I'm sure. Now that you're like, you can look back and be like, that there. Like, there's red flags. I'm sure.
You know what I thought about when he was telling me about the quarterback thing? I thought about the show Friday Night Lights. Remember when they had 2 quarterbacks, the Severson, or is that his name?
Yep.
Matt Severson, and then they had the hotshot young kid who was only a sophomore that came in.
Yeah.
I could sling it, and the dad, the hotshot dad, who came from some money and stuff,
of course,
like,
he could throw it around.
Really annoyed that he didn't want to do what the OC that they brought in wanted to do, and basically what they did is they worked him out of there. The guy who had won the state championship a year before, they worked him out of there.
It's amazing how that stuff works, isn't it?
Like, that's why I say, like, this stuff happens everywhere. You have no idea. That's why you got to just enjoy your runs.
Yeah, because you never know.
Idea. Someone could turn around and say, hey, like, I mean, I see the angling all the time, like, from the outside, because I'm not on the inside. Just what people tell me, and like, this guy's angling for this, and this guy's angling for that.
Yeah, you get this, because you get to see it, all the politics now, because when you're the head coach, I feel like people don't say that stuff to you. You know what I mean? Like, not you specifically, but just anything. Like when you have certain titles, like, people don't talk about that.
Listen, I'm observant of what I see people do with my own team, what outsiders try to do. I see it because it's funny.
It's crazy.
Like, literally, we might have been the second best team in the whole country. Okay. I mean, the guy in our division, by the way, it's the D3. It wasn't D2 or D1. But so I always say, let's put everything in perspective here. Like, there's 3 teams, 3 all-star teams in the South that, would beat the D3 level by 40 points, but it's not that the teams aren't good. Teams are good for town teams, are really good. But it's funny how, like, people are like, I'm like, man, that's one of the things that I'm so aligned with, like, the guy who's my DC.
Yeah, and that's important.
We're like, we don't care who shows up. We're going to coach him. You show up, you want to play with us, we're going to coach him. I would say, like, we might lose a couple kids each year because that's just how it's going to be.
That's just how it's going to be.
But we're going to pick up more.
Absolutely.
Because other people are going to be like, hey, I want to be a part of that program. You know what I mean?
That's it. And you can't be worried about all that outside shit. Even though it's hard.
Yeah. But it's hard because, at the youth, what's different than high school and youth is you're friends with the people. That's the hardest part. High school, you're not friends with the dads or moms. You're friendly, but you're not friends with them most of the time.
No doubt.
As a coach, right? There's a separation. But when you're coaching youth, like, these are people that you're friends with in town. Like, you get along with them, you like them, and you feel bad, when they're mad at you or something, and I'm like,
right. There's more that goes behind it.
Yeah. Oh, you won't believe who just reached out to me. Yeah. I'll give you his number. You should get him on. TR. Oh,
I've tried.
Oh, you'll be able to now.
Okay. Got it. Okay.
So
we'll reach out.
I'll just tell him that you're going to reach out.
Okay.
Yeah, you will. So
sounds good.
The world. It's. But anyway, but I think that's so interesting. The world that is different between youth and high school, and by the way, that's why I said to, like, people are like, oh, what was it like that you had actual coaches for St. Leo's, right? I was like, it was just, I as a parent, I looked at it like if my parent was in high school, you know what I mean? So like,
which is a totally different approach. But now I feel like your parents are so geared towards that, like it's just so much
Our
better for
parents are
them
geared for
in the long run.
the parents I have, so like we'll
Oh,
have
shit.
we'll have a club for our group of kids, just for our group, because they're going to play together next year, and we'll run their stuff. Okay, I'm probably going to be the one having to do it, but
Definitely.
But I'm glad to. We'll do it. And I said, hey, listen, we'll make everybody positionless. You know what I mean? Like,
That's it.
so everyone, everyone gets to play some, that could play it, that could play, if they can handle the ball, they can play some guard, and then the coaches will sort it out after when they get them back around.
Absolutely.
And then but the way I look at it is those kids are going to be, they can play together. Obviously they'll go to different high schools because Catholic school, that's what happens.
That's how it works.
That's just how it works. But but as far as there's a nice thing to it. Like, hey, my kid plays the point in most of the club stuff. He plays 3, 4, and 5 in St. Leo's, right? That's what I said, dude, I tell him this all the time. If you can play everywhere on the court,
you're set.
You are set, dude. He's
Yep.
like, what? He's like, but I said,
He's
no, I purposely wanted you to play point guard as much as possible when you were young, because I wanted you to be able to handle the ball. But in the long run, when you go to high school, you need to be able to handle the ball, and you need to be able to pass. If you could do those two things, and obviously shoots the third, right? But if you could do those two things to start as a young person, I think shooting comes as he's a good shooter, but you get better as you get older.
You get better with that. The stronger you get, the more mature you get. Like, it all comes with it.
Your technique gets better.
Yeah, absolutely. You're more hyper aware of it. You have the ability to get a shot off. Like, all those things go into it.
But I think it's a lot harder to learn to dribble later on.
Absolutely.
Handle the ball. So handle the ball, then passing, which I think is the second hard thing to learn. Being good at passing.
Yeah, well, passing's tough too, though, because like your other guys, it matters what other guys do, and a lot of guys at the younger age, they don't understand like how to move without the ball, right? How to create space for themselves or get themselves open. So that stuff's really tough. Or you throw a really good pass, and the guy just doesn't catch it, or something like that, and it's like, buddy, come on, dude, like that's really hard, but people see that.
Well, I would say like a stat that like in my own head, like I don't keep stats, but like in my own head, if you throw a good pass and it doesn't convert into a basket, but it was a good pass, like I track, like to me in my head that's like an assist, non-assist, because that would have been an assist if they made it. I want to know that you're making those good passes, because
absolutely.
I'll say like, hey, it's 5 or 6 of those that we didn't score on that would have been assists. That's good. Like you want though more of those. But my whole thing is like, if you could be positionless today in basketball as and be able to go into high school, whatever your high school coach needs you to play, you'll be able to play.
Absolutely. And then you have the ability to play more because you have those options.
Yeah, you go play the 3. Okay, hey, you know what? Like,
I need a guy here, or hey, like maybe like exactly. Let's switch it up and not lose something in that.
You don't lose something. Like you're just,
or you're just pigeonholing yourself for opportunities. Like now you're not even going to get on the court because you can only do this, and I don't have that role to fill right now. Right.
That's exactly right. I said, dude, when you're playing center sometimes, even though you're outsized, I said, you're always going to be, I try to explain the positions. I said, when you're at center and you're probably shorter than most of the centers, if you're at center, you can out-quick them. Okay. And you can out-strong them and use those things. When you're a point guard, you're going to have, because you're tall, you're going to have guys that are shorter and quicker than you are. But you're going to probably be stronger and longer. So you got to use what you have in the position you're playing to your favor. If you got to be as quick as you can. You got to be quick enough. But if you have longer arms and you could use that to stop him from driving because you're longer and he might be a little bit quicker getting to that spot, but you're long enough that you get your arms in there and your feet in there, and he's got to go around you, then that's your advantage. You have to know as an athlete what your advantage is. If you try to do if you're a 6'4" guard and you try to do what a 5'9" guard does, you're in trouble, dude. Like, you can't do what he can do. You can't like, your first step is not going to be what his first step is. You got to know what your strength is, and you got to be able to do that. And it's like, that's why I love receiver and running back and those things, like, because there are certain positions in football that are cookie cutter, right? Like, you know, a left tackle, like, you need certain things at the higher levels. They have to have these things in order to be successful. But a receiver could be 5'9" and be really successful, or 6'5" and be really successful. If you know what you do well, but if you're 6'5" and you try to be the 5'9" guy, that ain't gonna work. You know, if you're 5'9", you try to be the 6'5", oh, throw me fades. What? You're 5'9", dude. Like, you're not catching fades on a 6'1" DB. I don't know. It's just physics. It's not happening, you know. But you might outquick them and you might outrun them. You know what I mean? So
right. There's other ways to do it.
That's so important. But anyway, I'll let you go. Great pod. I love the guest. I think he was fantastic. And I bet you didn't even. I don't even know. Did you know that he was before you had him on? Did you know that he was?
No, because I didn't look at. I thought I didn't do the depth of research that I should have, in that he came from West Virginia, and then start to put that together, because I just saw where he had come from and that, like, dive into coaching world of, like, right away. I thought that was so appealing. And then I just thought, like, some of the stuff I saw that he was doing, and he's making a move to a new spot. Like, I thought that, I don't know. Obviously the algorithm is throwing me South Carolina guys, but, like, I don't know, South Carolina, dude, like, slowly it's steadily,
I tag where they're located. At YouTube, I do. I don't. The other side, I don't have the ability to.
It's just.
I think it gets. Let's go into South Carolina. Oh, dude, what are these? Maybe one of these days, when the guys will turn around and be like, "Hey, or Derek or Dave, are you available to maybe? Would you be interested?" I'd be like, yeah.
Charleston's awesome.
What could you package together for me, right, so I can kind of do this? You know,
so crazy. It's awesome though. I mean, like I said, the networking and all that kind of stuff for, like, what we're doing and who we're talking about, like, it's just been so good. I mean, like, even just looking at, like, next week too, like, just the variety of, like, what we're working with. You know what I mean? Like,
I think the variety is the best part.
We'll have an orthopedic oncologist on Tuesday. Then we have, you know, 2 females on. One's a mental health, you know, expert. The other's in the coaching field. And then we're going to have a player who transferred from, you know, UConn to Johns Hopkins this year to finish his career with one left. You know what I mean? Like, it's going to be really cool. So, like, just within the week, it's like a whole, you know what I'm saying? And this dude was, like, the middle linebacker at UConn. Like, he was the guy, like, and then he got hurt, and then coming back, it wasn't what it was, like, really kind of what it was. And then, hey, I'll just go to Johns Hopkins. Like, so now he's just finishing up there. Yeah, it'll be cool. Jersey kid too. So I'm excited, but, like, next week's going to be good. Like, you know what I mean? Like, I don't know. It's just cool. I think the variety and stuff, it keeps it fresh. It keeps it cool. And you know, it allows us to, like you said, like, guys can watch these episodes down the road. It's not, like, time stamped.
Yeah, you're not locked into, like, oh, I mean, that's the best part.
Oh, we're talking about the Super Bowl. Like,
yeah, you might get a little bit more views on the front side, and the back side you won't.
Because of course, that initial whatever. But, like, look, also, like, guys watch this show more. Like, the viewers is one thing, but, like, the reviews of when it pops up again is a big deal.
Oh yeah, there's no doubt. I mean, there's no, and it's endless value. Like, you can learn from it, and there's a ton of things that are really value. What do you think about before I let you go? How some of those image things that I post, do you think that those have value?
Some of them are good, but some of them, like, are so off sometimes. I'm like, oh shit.
Too small?
You know what I mean? No, I think they're perfect size-wise. I think just sometimes the way the caricature presents, like, the guest or itself, it's, like, so off. Like, I think ours are really good, but, like, some of them, I think, like, I'm just like, oh. But I don't know. I think we got to keep doing it, and maybe the more information you put into it about the guest itself, to kind of hit on it. Cause like Brian White is a very common name. You know what I mean? So
Yeah,
like,
that was almost impossible.
you know what I'm saying? Like that
I
stuff.
put his
That's where
image
I
in.
that's why I kind of try to send you like either the Twitter that they have, or you know what I mean, to kind of give you that like leadway into like some of the more stuff that like is them specifically.
You know who ChatGPT nailed? I did it for the Rebel Republic show. Got Marco Rubio and Donald Trump like exactly right. Like that's
No
exactly
shit.
right.
It's like who's in the news? Like
yeah, because there's so many probably images of them throughout
there's
the
so
internet.
much shit to pull from.
Right. So they could get it really close to who they are.
I mean, look, I struggle sometimes finding guests on whatever, like, you know what I mean? Like it's hard sometimes to find some of these guys because as many guys that still want to be in the limelight and whatnot, like there's still guys that like want no part of being in the spotlight. Even
They
with social
want to
media.
talk about it, but they don't.
Right.
They're like they'll come on the pod, but I don't. You're right. They'll post on their Twitter, but they don't really post their imaging very much.
Right.
They'll post their stuff. You know what
Correct.
I mean?
Yes, 100%.
But anyway, all right,
man. Talk to you tomorrow.
Yep.
Later.